Group 1 Ranvet Stakes, and Glenn Munsey, this has turned into a good betting duel between a few of them.
Yes, Greg, the first of the Group 1 races for the afternoon. We've got a Group 1 special available on Huey Bowman. 5.
Ewan at 3.20 on the tote. Criterion, second up at 4.80 is on the second line. The United States up from Melbourne at 5.50. Dibiani is at 8.50, sharing the next line with Storm the Stars.
Dibiani off the inside, got the best of the start. Mongolian Calm was away well, immediately going to second. Bohemian Lily to third. Then Criterion on the back of the pace from Haraki. Storm the Stars out deep. Cool Company drifting back from the United States, and Weary's last of all. Bohemian Lily rolls forward now, and it's going to head off. Dibiani racing to the mile mark, and it's Bohemian Lily looking to cross to the rails. In the second half of the field has gone up to eyeball Bohemian Lily. Dibiani, Blake Shin lets the pair go, and Dibiani's firing up now once he was crossed, but he settles in third. Mongolian Khan the rails, then the highly rated UK import Storm the Stars. Haraki back on the inside of Criterion. Second last the United States, and Weary's last of all. They've got 9.50 to run. Bohemian Lily a length clear from Cool Company. Mongolian Khan third on the inside of Dibiani. 2 after Storm the Stars from Haraki. Then the Globe trotting Criterion third last from the United States, and Weary whips them in down the side of the course. Bohemian Lily a half length clear now from Cool Company. Storm the Stars improving its position. Dibiani in third. Storm the Stars going to fourth from Mongolian Khan, just being felt for on the inside. Haraki's going forward. Criterion to the outside. The United States held up, and Weary's last of all around the turn. Bohemian Lily in front. Cool Company's run its race. Dibiani stakes its claim. The United States back to the inside with Mongolian Khan. Criterion down the outside, and Haraki. Here's a great race. The United States hits the lead. Haraki's bursting through the centre. The United States being tackled by Haraki. The United States repelling the challenge of Haraki, and the United States draws clear to win the round, but by 3/4. Haraki second, Criterion third, from Dibiani, Mongolian Khan, then Weary, Bohemian Lily, Cool Company, and Storm the Stars was last to finish.
Along the inside comes the United States. Robert Hickmont, the trainer. Kerr McAvoy, the rider for Lloyd Williams, holds out and was always holding Haraki quite. There's a big group of them. And this horse, he's pretty good. He puts a Group 1 on the board, the Ranvet Stakes. And Kerr
Team Williams, and also great mates with James Harron, so there was big celebrations last night, no doubt. $5.50 the United States. Matty, many thought weight for age, 2,000 metres might be too tough for him. I think he has an X factor, this horse.
I think he does. I mean, he may. I was never sold on him. I know to your credit, you've been wrapping him for quite some time, even going back to last spring when he was just a fringy sort of horse, but he's really come solid. I never thought he was much good in the United States, to be honest. He had a big name, but I never thought he was that good. But I think, yes, he's a much better horse than I always thought, but does this tell us a bit about that Ranvet? Where's Criterion? Mongolian nearly died, and he's struggled away and ran a reasonable 4th and 5th. I'm just thinking Haraki's a bit of a lumen fader. Not a muncher, lumen fade.
So we've got munchers, we've got lumen faders.
He didn't, put it this way, he didn't tell me by winning that he's a serious weight for age horse in the United States. Yeah. He just tells me he's a pretty good horse.
His 2 runs this time in, the 14 was terrific. He flew first up. I just thought he looked a bit flat, and he was a little bit off at Flemington over the mile when he or she beat him. But there yesterday, great swing from Team Williams to go up to Sydney, back up to the 1.25 miles with this horse comes into his own. He looked much more relaxed and more settled there in the mounting yard to me yesterday, and that was the difference.
And I think you talked them into their next start, because we interviewed Nick Williams straight off to a paddock, go to the Cox Plate onwards towards the Melbourne Cup, and your back announce was, why wouldn't you have a crack at the Queen Elizabeth? There's $4 million. And maybe Lloyd was sitting at home listening to you, Simo.
Well, remember, he's the record holder at Moonee Valley. That's right. Moonee Valley Cup.
From Kieran and also Nick, but the United States, he's promised a lot. He's a Moonee Valley Cup winner, and he's beaten a Melbourne Cup winner in that race, and he's promised a lot.
He has, and he got back here. He got shoved inside. He was trying to push out for the first 400 metres of the race, so he'd sit one off the fence, but Weary just shoved him back in. He ended up on the fence, and Kieran just said, "Okay, if that's where I am, I'll play for luck here." And he just came around. The heels, he just pushed one out of the way here, which is Mongolian Khan. He just pushed him, shouldered him out of the way inside him, and he got the run through there. Look, Haraki, I thought he got held up, Haraki, for a stride or two, but when he got to the United States, I think the United States was actually forging away from him again. So I don't think he should have won, Haraki, but he ran very, very well. And then behind the Criterion just fell into third spot there. Look, Criterion came back sort of light in condition. I spoke to David Hayes before the race. He said, you know, he looked like he was ready to run 2,000 at his first run. He said, yeah, it's just that he's done a lot of travelling and, you know, it's hard for him to maintain his weight and all that sort of thing. So I think he's not there yet, Criterion, but he's improving with each run.
Ride of the day. Stayed patient, took the gaps as they come and had a little bit up the sleeve. I thought it was a tip-top win. He's a horse that... He seemed to have a really hard run last week when they went out warp speed in that race at Flemington, and he hit the front at the 100 and he was out on his feet. I thought, oh, surely he can't come and peak off that. But he did. Some horses can do it, and they identified that horse really did well after that run, which was unusual, and he was the last man standing there. I like the gap to third and good horses back behind them, so I'm treating that as not bad form. I think they were saying, Cox Plate prep after the race. Now they're thinking, reading between the lines last night, they're thinking of paying a late entry for the Queen Elizabeth. So
we'll quickly go back to Glenn Munsey for a market update. What price is Winks now?
Yeah, well, still $1.95 with us, Greg, and press statement $4.80. The difference there on course Winks is $2, and press statement well supported here, 5 into 4.40 already. So you're getting the genuine overs there with press statement at the 4.80. And then we've got Turn Me Loose at 7, First Seal at 9, Kermadec 13, Hucklebuck 4.60.
Here she is, Winks.
Well, she is the darling of the turf. Have a look at her here. She's about to strut her stuff again. What can you say about her? She's won 7 at the top level, including a Cox Plate. She's got work to do. All eyes are on her here. Bowman hasn't got the perfect draw on her, but he hasn't made a mistake on her so far, and I don't think he'll be making too many on her today.
$1.95 on track. She's $1.95 with Tab. Press statement continues to be very, very popular. $4.40 with Tab, $4.40 on track. Turn Me Loose, $7 with tab.com.au, $6.50 on track.
Lighters on for the George Rider, and the gates open. They're off, and Turn Me Loose was the first into stride. Press statement jumped well together with First Seal, who's mustering. It's Turn Me Loose from First Seal and Press statement third. Tinto in fourth. Further back to Hucklebuck in the second half of the field, together with Winks, Happy Clapper, and Kermadec's the last one. Winks might be caught 3 wide on settling as Turn Me Loose is taken to the front by Boston. 2 lengths clear from First Seal and Press Statement, and Bowman slides forward on the great mare Winks. She goes to third, just shading Press Statement. 2 further back to Tinto, then Hucklebuck from Happy Clapper, and Kermadec on the fences last of all. There are no challengers to Turn Me Loose for the lead at the 800 metres. 2 lengths clear from First Seal, and Winks is getting closer in third. A half length away to the Cold Press Statement. 2 off to the Toowoomba mare Tinto from the South Australian Hucklebuck, and the last 2 Kermadec and Happy Clapper. They've got 5.50 to run. Turn Me Loose right on the bridle from First Seal, who comes off. Press Statement inching closer. Bowman sits very quietly on Winks as they round the turn. Kermadec goes for an inside run into the straight now, and Winks races up to join First Seal. Press Statement. Kermadec's finishing hard on the fence. Winks races to the lead. Kermadec's in for the fight on the inside. So's the Cold Press Statement. Winks in front from Kermadec. Winks just in front from Kermadec. Oh, the mighty mare. She's a superstar, Winks. She's done it easily the last 50. Winks beats Kermadec and Press Statement. Then Happy Clapper, First Seal, Turn Me Loose, Hucklebuck, and Tinto was last. What a superstar.
Unbelievable scenes down here. Ronnie Duffy and I are watching this crowd react to a champion mare. She has toyed with a Group 1 field. And Hugh Bowman, who says she is the best he's ever ridden, has not let this big crowd down.
Wow. You don't hear roars like that at Rosehill Gardens unless you're a lawn roll, unless you're an octagonal, and that's when you hear the big roars come up, and she matched that here today when she moved up so arrogantly on the turn. No one had expected to be her the one chasing the New Zealand Turn Me Loose. He's a hard horse to get into the death and chase, but she just does it on the bit and travels. The stablemates have been all gallant in defeat there, but what a mare. Just lap it up. And
This mare, do it again. They've got no doubts how good she is, but they want her to win so the public can keep enjoying this out-and-out superstar in Winx for TV, because out there it was like they were just willing her over the line.
It's pretty quiet in the toilet. Wasn't quite there, but I wasn't far away from it. Just watched it with the clerk of the scales of all people, which is what I do in the winter time, and it's pretty special.
You just want to be on your own.
Honestly, one of the best races in the country, just because of the field that attracts every year, and it's a genuine world-class Group 1 event, and she showed her dominance here this afternoon, and it's just an honour to be a part of it.
CJ Waller, extraordinary. That's his 4th win in the race. That's his 13th Group 1 in the season, and Winx makes it 8 wins in a row. In that 8, 5 of them have been Group 1s, and Chris Waller trains the trifecta. Is there anything stopping him, Matt?
Isn't he a multiple man, Waller-armour, isn't it? I did a story on Black Caviar 3 or 4 years ago, and I spoke to one of the key contributors was Bruce McAvaney, and he said something interesting that he reiterated just behind the barriers yesterday, that we're now having a personal vested interest in this picket fence continuing because it's so important for racing and for crowds and all that sort of stuff. And I think she's got that important to everybody status now, where she's got to keep winning for the good of the game.
What's his name? McAvaney. I might write his name.
McAvaney. Right. Yeah. So I think
knows a bit about it.
I like his sense of context, and that was he summed it up beautifully with Winx yesterday. And she's there now, I reckon. You know, the mega. I know you hate Winx for some reason. Simon and I.
I hate Winx.
Yeah. Why do you hate Winx? Anyway, so let's just talk amongst ourselves.
And for Waller, the trifecta. Kermadec, much better. Press statement, the 3-year-old. Good to see him test these horses against
They're
one another.
Stars too. I mean, Kermadec's a bit of a half muncher, but why do I hate Kermadec?
No, look, Kermadec's a half muncher.
No, but he's a high-class half muncher.
Multiple
Why is he a half muncher?
He needs someone to take the place of Boban now.
So, but what I'm saying is he's a reasonable benchmark. Press statement, terrific. To flog those stablemates, she's not just beating stablemates, she's beating serious, very, very good horses.
Matty, to let her stride forward just to fit in, instead of being stuck 3 deep in a small field of 8. And that was the key for me when she had to, you know, wind into that furlong and then, you know, kick past Kermadec, press statement, first seal. She then knuckled down. You see her change stride with 50 to go as if to say, OK, I've got to the front, I'm toying with you. There's still more left in reserve.
And there's 2 halves of her career. First seal was 5 zip on her.
That's right.
Going into yesterday, so that tells you that something happened.
Yeah.
Early days, Winx was just an Oaksy filly, wasn't she?
Right.
Like one of those good fillies.
She bolted into Queensland Oaks, and everyone went,
And First Seal was the gun.
That's right.
And First Seal's obviously had an interrupted career.
Amicus was probably the pick of the...
Well, Brad Bishop, is she going to run in the Donny?
Well, we thought before yesterday that maybe she might not be appearing in the Doncaster, where she's got 56.5 kilos, but talking to Chris Waller last night, really warming to starting her in the Doncaster, at least keeping her in the frame anyway, because he wants to keep all his options open. Definitely not scared about running there with the weight. More Joyce we saw win it 3 or 4 years ago with 57 kilos, so I think Winx is going a little bit better than what More Joyce was at the time. His other...
How do we rate that? What have we got to measure it against? Vince Accardi's sectionals there. Well, you can only beat what's around, and if you go back through his data throughout years, that's why she's a seriously good horse and a champion, I think.
Absolutely. Well, what Vince is saying there is they've collected data for 30 years, and over this trip, this girl has run 8 lengths faster than the average of 30 years of them.
Correct, Richard. That's why she's not a bad little pony.
She's a nice pony. She's a nice pony. And just going on that, let's have a...
Have won this. Is she a champion? The call went up yesterday that she is.
Yep.
Let's go to the race in full. Let's where Peter Ty is, and Richard, that being in that mounting yard and that roar going up, it felt special, didn't it?
Oh, it's reserved for the absolute stars of the turf, and we were watching that run there, and when Hugh Bowman was in a position out of the gates where he could either go back or go forward, and he chose to go forward, that's enough to bring most horses undone against that standard of field. But she just parked up there, idled again, and just sat there and thought, and Huey was able to say, well, I'll just go when I feel like it. OK, he's over racing. Turn me loose. He wanted to be turned loose, but Opie wasn't going to let him do it. But he did carve out you know, I think a pretty good pace in front there, and she just idled up next to them.
Amazing, amazing. She just idles through her gears, and there's no end to her gears. That's I thought, oh, she's out on her feet here. When you chase a horse in the death position, as we call it, and especially a horse like Turn Me Loose, you have to be vulnerable late. But look at her here, from the 50-metre mark onwards. She's the strongest
to the line.
Away she goes.
If that had gone another 200 metres, she'd have won by double the margin.
Yeah.
I mean, she can sustain that top speed for just longer than everything else. She's just got the massive motor. She's not overly big. She's not overly impressive as a type. Huey says her stride isn't overly impressive, but the motor is huge.
I thought Kermadec was fantastic sectionally from the back. His figures were outstanding. The 3-year-old, well, he was gallant in defeat considering the opposition. First Seal battled on. Happy Clappers ticking along beautifully for the Doncaster Mile. If we don't get wings there.
Well, this is what we're going to talk about right now. Can we have 2 markets up, please? One, the Doncaster, and then the Queen Elizabeth. Let's have a look at the Doncaster. Everyone thought she would go straight to the Queen Elizabeth, 3 weeks away. The Doncaster is 2 weeks away with a backup of a week into the Queen Elizabeth. Talk yesterday that there were percentages being thrown around left, right and centre. There was one suggestion she's a 99% chance to go to the Doncaster. I spoke to Peter Tye, the owner, and he said, 50-50, we're going to work out how the weights look in their entirety. Where does she go? Do you run her in a Doncaster and then back her up in a $4 million race the week later? Because I don't think she's ever backed up before.
It's not Waller's style, is it?
I smell El Tactico here.
You always smell El Tactico.
I just think that story's been leaked, right? And there's a reason. It'll have something to do with the weights and something to do with all of Chris's other horses. I don't know what it is, but she's got 50
a kilo. I don't know.
Yeah, something. But I don't know.
She's a good filly. She has got tactical speed if you want to use it from that awkward draw. Doesn't seem to be a lot of pressure on up front here. Look, she's an Oaks. She's in a very, very good stable who looks to have set.
Thank you, Greg. I will go with number 1, Tarzino. He's a bull of a colt, isn't he? This Victoria Derby winner ran so well in the Australian Guineas as well. Second up. He just looks really relaxed. He sweated up a touch, but not too badly. I thought I'm Bellucci, as the fellas pointed out, looks sensational for Desley Forster. Was second in the Spring Champions.
One's on Slipper Day 2016 sees the 3-year-olds, most of these on their way to the Derby, in the Rosehill Guineas over the 2000. Tarzino is the favourite at $2.80 from La Romaine at $6.
Stand by for a break. Tarzino drawn, barrier 2. Looks like I'm Bellucci's restless wide out. The red light still blinks, and they're off and racing in the Guineas. And Le Romaine jumped well. Tarzino was nicely into stride together with Oso Splendido. And River Wild away well, sits 4 wide in the early part. I'm Bellucci goes up. Oliver goes forward on Jamaica in the early part, so there's plenty looking for the early lead. Gold Ambition camps behind them, followed by Shards, Montaigne. It's I'm Bellucci in front by 3/4 to Jamaica. They steady the pace down the back. Tarzino inching closer in third on the inside of River Wild. Then Gold Ambition coursing up on the outside of Le Romaine, and Montaigne away on the fence. Further back to Vanbrugh. Then Etymology from Oso Splendido. Shards. Well back Spanish Stride. Crosley Hotshot. Hersley's last in the Rosehill Guineas. They've got 7.50 to run. I'm Bellucci on top by 3/4 to Jamaica. River Wild in third. Tarzino just waiting for the runs to come on the home corner. Then came Le Romaine, Gold Ambition, Montaigne the fence. Further back to Etymology, Vanbrugh, and they've opened up a margin on 3 lengths on the rest, headed by Shards around the turn, and Jamaica hits the front now. It's Jamaica from Riverwild, Tarzino the inside, then came Le Romaine, Montaigne back to the inside at the 300. Jamaica's being tackled by the Derby winner Tarzino, then Montaigne further back to Etymology. Tarzino beats off Jamaica, Montaigne going to third, but Tarzino in front from Montaigne and Jamaica, and there's the Derby favourite. Tarzino drawing clear to beat Montaigne. Jamaica third, good margin to the rest. Vanbrugh and Etymology. Riverwild close up. Further back, Oso Splendido, Crosley, Hotshot, Le Romaine. Then Shards from Spanish Stride. Hersley, I'm Bellucci, Gold Ambition. Drop back to finish last. Terrific ride by Craig Nugent.
And that could be the way he wins the Derby. he stamped himself as the superior staying 3-year-old today. If you had any doubts after the Victorian Derby, have a look at that, and he's only going to be better in 2 weeks' time, Ron.
Here to play marbles here today. They were here fifth. They were dead set fair income. He gets he draws the barrier to get a dig in the ribs, take control of a race, and what a great sight to see. He doesn't have to be back and ridden for luck. He's too good for that. Let's make a racehorse out of him and put him in the box seat, and that's how he will win the Derby, if not easier. That is a superior colt with still more to offer, and he's going to be. He could well be a Melbourne Cup horse in the future. He's a serious stayer. Fact, but he got on the right leg, he got into the spot, had to just duck back to the inside, but I really love this horse. I think he's something special.
All right, we'll hear from
Year-olds very important, but there are a dime a dozen good 2-year-olds.
Yep.
A Tarzino is the once in a career horse for Mick Price, the potential Melbourne Cup winner, the Derby horse, all that sort of thing. I think.
And Matty, Derby winners are turning around, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've got that speed in them now. Win a mile.
Well, there's longevity in Tarzino. This is going to put a bigger stamp on Mick Price's career than any other horse he's ever had.
He's a Cups horse. He is a legitimate Cups horse. Let's hear from Craig Newitt.
Very fast, becoming probably the best horse Mick will train and the best horse I'll ride. You know, he just. Everything he does, he throws it back at us and asks for more. And today I didn't want to be that close, but they just went at a leisurely speed, and he was going to win a long way out.
So you were happy to be in that position? He settled nicely?
Put his head on his chest and just relaxed underneath me, beautiful. And I was happy Bossy got rolling about the 700 because it just made him quicken up, and he just got into a beautiful rhythm, and I was able to pop on Jamaica's back, and it was all over once I got the run.
Tally, who is very impressive, winning the Alistair Clark at $6, Jamaica $9. Hard to see horses like Vanbrugh and Montaigne turning the tables on Tarzino, but they're there at $11 plus.
I enjoyed his gallop, Montaigne, yesterday, the way he was able to pick up and make ground. I think...
In the Victoria AJC Derby, or the ATC Derby as it is now, last horse to do it, the double?
I don't know. Naturalism. No, he didn't win
Mahogany.
Yeah.
Mahogany. Let's go.
Naturalism didn't win the Victoria Derby, so how am I going?
Let's go to the replay here. Here's the Sky Racing Rosehill Guineas.
He lengthens this horse. He's something special. He has the Derby at his mercy, wet, dry, barrier 20, barrier 1, doesn't matter. He's a superior stayer. Montaigne, what a preparation he's had. He has done it all on one prep. You don't see that often. Don't know if he'll go to the Derby. The question has to be asked here, does Kirimar go to the Derby here with Jamaica worth $2 million, or run her in the Oaks for $1 million, where she'd probably be favourite? I don't know. Vanbrugh was also good in that race, but I don't know what Kieran would do.
I spoke to him after the race, and he brought up the Vase where Jamaica defeated Tarzino, and he's suggesting that maybe run of the race stuff, she's got a chance to turn the tables.
What was she beaten yesterday? 2 lengths?
Yep.
You gets a better run in the race, might make an interesting race of it, and then suddenly Tarzino's not $1.90 for the Derby, and she's not $6.
Okay, may have just wandered off the track here and didn't get on the right leg in a gallop here the other morning, where you would expect his stablemate to be too sharp and have the race. Same thing. I just don't know about.
Extreme Choice at $3.20 and Flying Artie at $4.60. They ran 1-2, of course, in the Blue Diamond Stakes. Full field of 16, and pretty rare you see in a slipper 5 unbeaten horses, Brass.
Yes, 100% right, Marto. I've actually got for my trifecta 3 un.
For Quick Feet. They are loading them up for the 2016 Golden Slipper.
Into 440, so 525 to 440. I can't stress this is a really, really good go for Flying Artie late.
Let's head to Darren Flindell for his
black-coloured cap. Extreme Choice, the favourite, moving up in the China Horse Club colours now. They're about to break. Racing now in the slipper, and Defcon immediately snagged back, and the favourite slow out Extreme Choice. Extreme Choice will settle down second last, and a stern jump quickly, together with Sweet Cherry, Flying Artie right up there. So's Honesty Prevails, Scarlet Rain out deep from French Fern, then Capitalist on the rails from Yankee Rose, Kiss and Make up midfield, followed by Quick Feet, Star Turn into the first corner. Calliope's caught very deep, Defcon snagged down to the rails from Tel Perrion, and would you you believe it, the favourite Extreme Choice is last. Down the side in the roughy, Sweet Cherry leads. Out by a length to Astern. Flying Artie railing through into third from Scarlet Rain out deep as they race up to the turn in the slipper. Honesty prevails between them. Capitalist looking for the run. Then Yankee Rose, Scarlet Rain, and further back to French Fern. Sweet Cherry leads from the well fancied Astern. Capitalist is into the clear. Flying Artie to the inside, and then Honesty prevails. Here's Capitalist going after Sweet Cherry, and then came Flying Artie, but Capitalist, the Magic Millions winners, drawn clear in the slipper. Yankee Rose home into second, but Capitalist takes it out. Capitalist by a half length to Yankee Rose. Photo third, Flying Artie and Telperian. Then came Star Turn from Honesty Prevails. Extreme Choice making up many lengths from Sweet Cherry, Quick Feet, Calliope, Defcon, Good Standing, Astern, Kiss and Make Up, and French Fern was last in.
And the slipper goes to Capitalist, and that is Blake Shin's first ever race in the 2-year-old feature at $7.30 and $2.30. That's
It couldn't beat Kiss and Make Up in a lead-up race. Today it bounces back, and Peter and Paul Snowden. Peter has won a golden slipper for Darley in the past. This time, as father and son, they do it together, Ronnie.
Wow. Always to give a horse one bad run, and as Paul said just before the race, we took it personally. We love this colt, and they've taken
it so well. Just waiting for my options, assessing around the 600, and yeah, he really sprinted hard. I took a needle-eye gap underneath Honesty Prevails, and yeah, he really hit the line hard. And I just want to say,
gators of this program, where they set out to buy some colts and try to make stallions out of them, and they bought really well. Congrats to both of them. They know what they're looking at, and they bought really well. But I've been the lucky one to receive these horses, and be able to get a result for them, it justifies their faith in what they had in myself and Paul and our team. So,
what were you thinking? What was going through your mind?
I could ask Glenn Mungie, how can you put a horse from $2.80 or $3 to $11 of one run? But I'm not one to spruik horses up, and I learned that from John Hawkes. You know, you let your horses do your talking for you, and rather than me beat up everybody and tell them, you know, don't drop off, I thought the best way is just to come out and produce on race day, and that's what he did in Aces today.
It's a rare...
Definitely not, mate. And hopefully it won't for, you know, throughout the night as well, because we'll give it a fair touch-up, I reckon.
I noticed, and Ronnie picked up on this, you took the fact that this colt was out of mind after that defeat at Kiss and Make Up, you took it a bit personal.
Yeah, I said that before the race, we did. It wasn't a true sort of indication on the horse's ability. He had an off day, yeah, sure. Things didn't go right. I sort of compared it to sort of racing at Flemington when you take fresh horses to your home track. They don't get that trip away, that lose that nervous energy, and he was that. He was first up for 6 weeks. He only had the one trial, and he just raced too much above himself. He just raced too fresh, and that's what brought him undone. Seen today, he was 3 pairs back, just lobbing on a loose rein. He can prove what he did today. He's got a massive turn of foot, and that's what he's shown.
Extraordinary performance by Capitalist. Has a little setback, a defeat last start, but he was a dominant colt early in the year. He wins the Magic Millions. Peter and Paul Snowden, right from the start of this preparation, don't panic. We know what we're doing. Pete Snowden, of course, winning the big double, the Blue Diamond and the slipper with Sepoy. He gets a big double here with the Magic Millions and the slipper with Capitalist, and he does it with a family affair with his son Paul, and there was so much emotion. Blake Shin gets his second big feature. The Cup winner wins the Golden Slipper. Yankee Rose runs unbelievably for second. And the story out of the race, Simon Marshall, was Extreme Choice blowing the start, knuckling. As we watch this again, he ends up settling last. We thought he'd be right there on the speed.
Yeah, it's his first start in the China Horse Club colours. You see him just left of screen there. He missed it by half, and then he got squeezed between, I think it was Flying Artie and Sweet Cherry. And then he just dropped out the back, and he then got on heels, interrupted run shortly after that at approaching the 800, and then again into the straight. So it's a complete forgive run for me when he missed the kick, got squeezed and got into trouble. Capitalist, he's such a push-button horse. We saw this at Magic Millions when he drew the marble. He sat in the box seat. Blake Shin just cuddled him, rode him well, used that beautiful turn of foot. It was awesome. Flying Artie pinged the gates. He landed really good, got on the chewy a little bit early, over-raced. He's still learning what it's all about. He was honest. He fought on good. good. Like he wanted 1400, to be honest. But Yankee Rose, first up since November with the gear change. Phenomenal for the Van Dyke stable.
Yeah.
She was terrific on speed. And Talperian came down the straight like a bit of a drunken soldier all over the shop there, but flew home. Was probably the run of the race.
There's no rules with
to go. Peter Snowden and Paul are the trainers of the biggest owner in the world, in Sheikh Mohammed. They give that up to go out on their own and build a family business. James Harron's the bloodstock manager for Gay Waterhouse. He gives that up to start his own venture to try to find a colt, a future stallion, and in the first year they do it together, they win the slipper.
Think of the environment they did it in.
Yeah.
Waller, Waterhouse, all these others.
And there was a lot of depth going into this race. I would think this year's slipper will stand up going on in years to come. It's terrific.
Price said last night that he appeared to come through the run well, going to give him a week before he commits, but the initial plan is to go to the sides with Flying Artie. Same story with Talperian, probably the only one of Godolphin's three that progressed to the size. Stern is definitely going to the paddock, and Gay Waterhouse's two, who were both disappointing yesterday, Scarlet Rain and Kiss and Makeup, they are both off to the Spelling paddock as well. Extreme Choice definitely going to the paddock. He's going to be set for the Coolmore in the spring.
The one that interested me there, Seaburge. Did you see Seaburge in the market there? Yeah. This is the Johnny Beard.
What were you thinking after Kiss and Makeup defeated Capitalist?
Look, on the day I was disappointed he got beat. But watch the race and the way he raced, like he never over races. Well, full runners, it wasn't really a race, it was just a track gallop. And he bounced out and he pulled hard for the first 600 metres. And being off a long break, I only gave him one trial. That was the Friday prior, and he trialled sensational. I thought I was really happy with his trial. I thought, well, with the benefit of that trial, a run next Saturday, I got 2 weeks to slipper. He's going to be absolutely perfect on the day. But I was expecting a full field or half a field on the following Saturday. When he didn't get it and he raced that way, I think in the run straight away I should have done more with him from the trial to the race.
He's behind the leader, the favourite, New Colours, back last.
Yeah, well, nothing went right for him. We'll get back to him there. But look, always in a perfect position by Blake here, Capitalist. He travelled sweetly, uninterrupted pretty well all the way. Flying Artie, just a little bit one-paced at the top of the straight. This little Yankee Rose, fair income. It could have been the story of the history of the slipper, the greatest training performance in the history of this golden slipper.
It was a lovely ride on it too.
Yeah, look, Zach had a bit of a go at the whip rule, saying he might have got closer if he could have hit her a few times before the 200. I don't know about that, but what a performance from her. First up in a slipper, it's unheard of. I didn't think in the wide world she could get this close, and that's an amazing performance from her. Look, great win by the winner. Second horse was Gallant. Third horse battled on. I thought Talperian was pretty good.
Yeah, he had a checkered run up the straight, and he finished off the race better than anything else. Look at him in the white cap and the Godolphin colours there, right at the back there. He's coming across to the inside. He's looking for runs. There's probably dead ends in front of him. Was that James Doyle on him there? It just came across. He chopped out Extreme Choice, who was actually making ground in those red colours inside him there, and gave him a chop out as well. But that was a very good run. But, you know, the beautiful ride on the winner, beautifully prepared. The plan worked.
Yeah. Can we get through? Well, he should have won the race down at Caulfield that Oakley played, Marto. He was desperately unlucky. So, all things being equal, I think he's going to give this a big shake too. 13, 6, 2 and 14 for the Galaxy, and I couldn't dig up a lot of speed.
50 and again, solid money for this runner down the bottom. Griante, number 16.
Bounding's best backed on
the Galaxy. We're all set. Stand by for a start. And they're off and racing. Griante off the inside, jumped well. Ball of Muscles mustering wide out. Lord of the Sky and Dothraki were quickly into stride. Boundings up into fourth. Then came Griante from Boss Lane and Fell Swoop caught pretty deep. Two further back to Terra Vista. Shiraz slotting in from Pittsburgh. Flyer than Famous Seamus. Rebel Dane Lamosti. And English is back last and about 15 lengths off the leader, which is Ball of Muscle by 2 lengths on Lord of the Sky. 2 off to Dothraki. Bounding in fourth without without cover. Then Griante from Fell Swoop, a length and a half the inside to Terra Vista, followed by Boss Lane, Shiraz and Pittsburgh Flowers. They straighten up now. Ball of Muscle in front from Lord of the Sky. Then Dothraki bounding to the outside. Griante's waiting for the run. Further back to Fell Swoop. Boss Lane and Shiraz right down the outside. The leader here is Ball of Muscle from Dothraki, and Dothraki hits the lead. Here comes Griante with a big finish. Griante shot straight past Dothraki. Then came Shiraz down the outside, but it's Griante in front. Williams gets it home. Griante by a length to Shiraz. Dothraki third, then Fell Swoop from Bounding. English gave away too big a start. Then Rebel Dane from Ball of Muscle. Pittsburgh Flyer, Terra Vista, Boss Lane, Famous Seamus, and back last of all was Lamosti.
Well, the Victorians, they get another Group 1. They got it with Tarzino and the Guineas, and they get another one here. Craig Williams and David Brydoak win with Griante. One of the unlucky runners in the Oakley Plate has bounced back from Gate 1, first home.
Yeah, look, she was desperately unlucky in the Oakley Plate. She's going better this preparation. She won
a second home, number 9, Shiraz. Well, what a great job. Firstly, Peter Nestor did, and now Tony McAvoy's doing with Shiraz.
Yeah, he's a horse that's never carried any condition, but Tony's got a bit on him.
Craig Williams gets another Group 1, a $16 chance. Shiraz, superb for Brett Preble and Tony McAvoy. Dothraki hit the lead, maybe a stride too early, but given a great ride by Blake Shin, just gets run down. They run 103.79, and David Brydoak gets a second Group 1.
Yeah, what a good horseman he is. I remember when I first started in my career, I was going out to his place in the Mornington Peninsula. He was a jumps trainer. Remember, he was a jumps trainer, you know, to start with, an equestrian background, all sort of stuff. Yep. Terrific trainer. You know what? When I saw the 1-2 in this race, I kept thinking of the horses that should have been in that race. Like Superdo should have been in that race, a Group 1. He should. I mean.
Anyway, Roddy, here we go. Griante, unlucky in the Oakley Plate, comes and wins the Galaxy.
Yeah, look, another horse with barrier 1 here, and always, look, travelled like the favourite in the run. She was desperately unlucky in the Oakley Plate at a first-up run, and well presented here by David Brydoak early in a campaign.
Who is an astute trainer and wouldn't have brought her here unless he doesn't make those silly mistakes of bringing the wrong horse.
No, definitely not. Look, I thought Shiraz, he's run the race of his life here. He's going better than ever. Carrying more weight. He's another horse that doesn't carry much condition, but Tony McAvoy's done an amazing job with him, just putting that little bit of weight on in this preparation. Dothraki runs his usual honest race.
And second up was a plan, because that's his best. It's almost the best run of his prep, his second run in. And Gerald had it. That was a plan that nearly worked.
Run of the day here. Run of the day here. It's not obvious. English. Her sectionals from the 600 home were 10.85, 10.57, 10.95. She was set an impossible task from that outside barrier. She's come home the quickest last 600 of the day by far, which is understandable the way she was ridden, I understand. But her performance was amazing there.
I'm agreeing with you.
Who's at $9 on course 11.10 the tote. Now, Flying Light has moved up into the barriers. War Legend is set. Telly to come in. Also, Ears Rock, they've announced they're going. It jumped well from the middle of the stalls. Charlevoix eases back, and so does Telly from deep out. Jadir got away quickly, so did Top Ravine. Hard Earners up there in the early stages. And on the outside of those 3 leading horses was Ears Rock. As they race out of the straight, it's Jadir. Ears Rock's going to... So Ears Rock now is the front runner. He's out by about 2 lengths, Jadir. Top Ravine on the rails in third placing. Hard Earners fourth. A length and a half to Flying Light, middle of the field. On the outside of Patch Adams, followed by Palantino. So the favourites about 7 or 8 lengths away from the lead. Into the back they go. Next on the rails came Telly, followed by War Legend, and 2 lengths to Charlevoix. 1,000 metres left to go. Ayers Rock by about 2 lengths. Second is Jadir on the rails. Third is Top Ravine. A length and a half to Hard Earned. 2 lengths to Flying Light, followed then by Patch Adams. A length further back as Palantino, Telly. They're trailed at the 800 metres bend, then by War Legend, and Charlevoix still a length and a half. half away. Ayers Rock leads up the side by almost a length to Judea, Top Ravine and Harder. Now Palantino, Zara eases him out. 3 and 4 wide, he's in the clear, followed by Flying Light. Tally's trying to get onto the back of the favourite as they bunch up near the school, and he's gone that quickly. Palantino about 4 wide, he's hit the front. Palantino, Tally chases him. Hard-earned goes with the leader. Ayers Rock battling along the inside with Judea, and the rest headed by Charlevoix starting to pick his way through the field. Palantino narrowly, Hard-earned he's inside. Tally the outside, a line of 3. They're 2 to 3 lengths in front of Charlevoix. Palantino's going to have to really fight here. Tally's going with him. Hard-earned boxing on well on the inside. Tally got the head in front of Palantino and comes away. Tally drawing clear, and Tally by 2 lengths. Palantino. Hard-earned will hold third just in front of Charlevoix in a photo. Ahead of War Legend Patch Adams, followed further back then by Flying Light, who finishes with Ayers Rock, and a break to Top Ravine knocked up, and so did Judea last home.
Well, Tally makes it 4 wins for the preparation, and Hutchie, great tipping. You're willing to take on the Group 1 winner in Palantino, and I reckon you got it 100% right. And didn't Craig Williams ride that boy like he was the best horse in the race? He rolled into the race.
Now for race number 4.
And then Holler's the other must at 9-1-2-10.
Well, Holler's in the top selections. Can Godolphin get a Melbourne Group 1?
Do the other two. So you've got Lucky Hustler back out to the $4.20 mark. Holler's sort of held from there. So there you have your top 3. So Japanese me.
The year in between there. She won the race in 2011 and 2013. Miss Andretti, Hariba, Zedative, Vo Road, Canny Lass, Campaign King, some superstars have won.
They're set. Racing in the William Reid, and the quarterback missed it badly by about 3 lengths. And the first out is Holler, ahead of Headwater, and beginning quickly. Gregor's on there outside from Flamberge, who's getting up on the inside of Kinglike. A length to it is written, followed by Lucky Hustler out 3 wide to the first turn. Then Churchill Dancer, Scarlet Billows, followed by Japanesma. As they run the first turn, 2 or 3 lengths further back in the field is Fast and Rocking, and the quarterback is last. So Holler leads up the side. Second on the outside is Headwater, and they're followed closely in the field then by It Is Written coming on out wide on the course. Just behind them, Gregors is going up to join the leading 2. They're followed by Flamberge on the rail from Kinglike and Churchill Dancer. Japanesma starting to come around the field, and Lucky Hustler's trying to follow it home, and then Fast and Rocking. Holler the leader from Gregors. Headwater dropped off. Flamberge hugging the fence from It Is Written. Japanesma still coming, but Holler the one to run down into the straight. He led by a length and a half from Flamberge coming through on the inside, and Japanesma wider. Flamberge getting up on the rail to tackle Holler. Holler, Flamberge, Holler and Flamberge in a photo finish. They hit the line. Oh, Peter Moody, I think you might have done it. I reckon Flamberge from Holler and Japanesma out wide, and then followed just behind those to finish in the race was coming home well, Fast and Rocking, and they were followed by Scarlet Billows running not a bad race from Churchill Dancer, Lucky Hustler, and then came Kinglike, and behind those to finish Headwater and Gregors, and It Is Written back towards the end, and the quarterback who bombed the starters last. A photo finish between Flamberge on the inside, Holler the middle, and Japanesma on the outside.
And there is a racing god, and Peter Moody has won a Group 1 there on his very last night as a trainer. He kisses his wife Sarah. The girls are all crying next to him. Can you believe it? He's been able to win a Group 1 on his last night of training by the smallest possible margin. Trainer for the last time, a Group 1 to Peter Moody.
Well, Pete, I'm sure in your career you've had flashier types, you've had horses with more ability and potential, but the guts and determination of this bloke's got to stand above most of them.
Yeah, mate, no, he's a remarkable little horse. We said it all about 3 weeks ago, and you know, it's no secret he grew on us over a period of time. I didn't see a big future in him, but he's just kept winning races, and he won a Goodwood and we're over the world. He won an Oakley Plate, and we thought we'd had every pancake day we could ever find, and to do this tonight's unbelievably special. You know, it's yeah, no, it'll stick with me for a while.
Well, I wish this horse could talk for you, but David Moody...
6 or 7 years, and to cap it off like this is quite remarkable. I respect him enormously. There's been no one better at his craft, and I'm tipping he'll come back.
He's ridden a lot.
Let's go back when it all started for his press conference and announcing the retirement of Peter Moody.
I did look strongly at the possibility of employing a stand-in trainer for the period of my 6-month suspension, but decided that this wasn't I wouldn't say a viable proposition, but it wasn't a workable proposition, I felt, going forward in the best interests of my clients and the horses under my care.
Version a photo finish, they hit the line. Oh, Peter Moody, I think you might have done it. I reckon Flamberge from Holler and Japanisma.
Oh, he's so tough, isn't he, Flamberge? What a performance there. He just nuts Holler right on the line. Japanisma into third, fast and rocking back, running on into fourth, and the quarterback blows the start by about 5 lengths or 4 lengths and then flashes home. Gee, I'd love to see Royal Ascot give him an invite because the quarterback is in great form at the moment. 11.49 the last 200 metres. Interesting. Talk about the night, Matty.
Well, we were there, weren't we? And it was unusual.
So much emotion and support with him.
Out on a winning note, he finished his training career, we believe. He may come back, but this was it for the time being. The William Reid on Thursday night. His last crack at a Group 1, he had 2 runners, Flamberge and Kinglike. Well, you wouldn't believe it. He won.
Yeah, emotional scenes there after the race. Never, you know, the whole family, understandably so, getting very emotional about this win. Probably a little unexpected. Holler was gallant in defeat there, and Japanisma was strong late. But the old warrior holds off the 2 3-year-olds here.
Sectionals, you know, just after they settled down. And then Holler took off at about the 600-metre mark, and Flamberge was right behind him, just chased him through and got the run on the inside. Japanisma finished off hard.
The quarterback was unbelievable.
Yeah, he
there.
missed it 3 lengths.
Stood in the barrier, wouldn't go, and he's charged home.
Yeah, we're going to miss Peter Moody. Racing's not going to be as...
He's a character.
Yeah, he is a character, and he's been, you know, what he did with Black Caviar will never be forgotten.
No, good luck to Pete, and we're going to...
Fenway's in, and they're ready for the Sunline. All set. Away they go. And from the outside, Fenway looked to get away okay. Noble Protector's got away with them, but she's drifting right back in the field in the early stages here. And Fitriona began fast, so did Miss Rose Delago, closer to the inside, and chooses up there. Here's Fenway. She's been let go now, and in the run of the first turn, she strides up, and Fenway sits on the outside of Nafra. Noble Protector's making ground through near the inside, and then Felician and Digger Pony and Holy Cow is last. At the 600 they race, and Miss Rose Delago led by a half to Fenway. Choose ridden along in third out wider, and then Wawale. Metaphorical starting to work home, and Fitriona's ridden along, and Nafra coming around the outside, and Noble Protector's got up within about 4 lengths, but she's held up along the fence. Miss Rose Delago slips away. Fenway's under a lot of pressure. She's 2.5 behind, and then Wawale Noble Protector, but Miss Rose Delago leads by a good margin, 2 to 3 lengths. Noble Protector slicing through the field near the inside, but it's all to no avail because Miss Rose Delago and James McDonald by 3 Noble Protector. Metaphorical in a photo for third with Fenway. Then Holy Cow, followed by Felician. Behind them is Choose and Digger Pony. They're followed by Wawale, and then Amphitriona and a Nafra. And the last one to go over the line is Jaffel.
Sam, let go straight to the front, travels sweetly and bolts in the Group 2 on a terrific win from her, and beautifully handled and rated by James McDonald. Gee, you were confident, weren't you, coming to the turn when you had Fenway, the favourite, off the bit. She slipped away. Whilst that was happening, Noble Protector held up hopelessly and behind them, looked to have a bit to give. She got out, she hit the line into second. Hard to...
Stakes coming up here, Ron. We're missing Jamaica. She'll be saved for the Derby. What do you think?
Look, I think it's a terrific race. All these fillies sort of meeting.
Momentum. Could it be the Victorian again? Risque.
Well, it's possible, Greg. I mean, I'm looking at these fillies. They're not as physically mature as the Colts were in the other division. That's understandable. They're fillies, but...
Ready now for the Varney Group 1 over 2,000 metres, and they're off and racing. Briscoe out the inside, jump well, but sailing by, and Self-Esteem both quickly into stride, and Preble surging forward on Valley Girl. Valley Girl really showing some zip there, and it's going to lead from sailing by. This leads Self-Esteem out pretty deep. Risque's handy on the fence together with Lonely Orphan, and Silver Gaze off the track pushing forward. Believes caught very deep as they race to the first turn. Further 1,000 metres, and Self-Esteem in front by a length to Believe. Valley Girl in single gaze with cover in fourth. A length and a half further back to Sailing By on the outside of Risque. Then Lonely Orphan, followed by Ambience the Fence. A length and a half to Capella. Then Happy Hannah from Hanesta, Hartlings, Asanara. And Stay With Me is the last one racing to the turn. And Self-Esteem is trying to slip away at the 600 metres from Believe, and Valley Girl. Preble sits quietly on her. Then Single Gaze further back to Risque, pushing off the fence from Sailing By. Capella to the outside, and saving ground on the fence as Ambience into the straight now. Self-Esteem in front. Valley Girl goes for the run on the fence. Then Single Gaze further back to Believe. Capella and Risque give away a good start. O'Hara's gone for home on Single Gaze. Valley Girl's trying to eat into the margin. Single Gaze in front from Valley Girl. Self-Esteem, Happy Hannah late. Single Gaze in front from Valley Girl, and Single Gaze takes out the binary for Kathy O'Hara. Valley Girl a gallant second, Happy Hannah third. Then Self-Esteem from Hanesta and Capella. Further back to Ambience from Believe, Stay With Me, Hartlings, Asanara, Lonely Orphan, and Sailing By was the last in.
Well, if Kathy O'Hara wins another Group 1, and Nick Olive, I'm sure this will be his first. I'm sure this is his first Group 1. This young man with such a future in the racing industry. Ronnie?
She has, and she's done it with...
Doing it like no owners I've ever seen in my life. Here's Bernie with the winning jock, Kath O'Hara.
Well, Kathy...
Kathy O'Hara's second Group 1. She cops a $200 fine for punching the air. $12 it wins. First Group 1 for Nick Olive. Well done to Nick Olive. Fantastic scenes after the race. Valley Girl from New Zealand running second. Happy Hannah, an eye catcher, running third. And Single Gaze will let Brad go towards the Oaks. I mean, there were questions whether she would extend out to 2,000 metres. She's done that. Does she go to the Oaks?
Yeah, not sure what the plan is there, but they're happy with what they achieved yesterday. Minor place getters bang on target for the Oaks. The story from a Victorian point of view was the poor performance of Risque. Didn't run 2,000 metres, going to drop back to 1,500 metres for the Queen of the Turf in a few weeks' time.
Okay.
Yesterday, the owners might have got a quid.
Yeah, they did all right, Ronnie. They did, yeah. The bookmakers served up a price and they kept backing it, and then kept the price up, mate, so very good.
What did you think when the prices went up?
Vision here now, and Self-Esteem there in front set a, pretty solid pace there with Believe chasing her, and you just sat one out, one back and peeled to the outside.
Yeah, that's right, and she had to make a long sustained run from the 600 too, It wasn't a sit and sprint. Kathy had to wind her up, and, she sustained a sprint for a good long time.
Just at that point, it was well before that, she had the race parcelled up, which was amazing. She had the race won 250 metres out. Nothing was going to run her down.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you enjoy it? Could you enjoy it down the straight?
No, I didn't, because I've had another horse in Adelaide that I thought we'd won, and we celebrated before the post. And,
early crow.
And he went the early crow and got knocked off, and that was probably the worst I've ever had on a race course. And so I just waited, but when Kathy started doing the backflips and the somersaults 50 metres from the line, I knew we were pretty safe.
Yeah. She's got a bit of an affinity.
They've been through a carnival as far as the Oaks is concerned, but there was nothing wrong with their performances. I thought Self-Esteem battled on well. Happy Hannah was a terrific Oaks trial. She's a quality filly. Lacks experience, but she's still got a peak run in her. She hasn't had a peak yet, I don't think. So she'll race really well in the Oaks, Happy Hannah, without declaring her. Look, they've got her up favourite now. Whether that's a...
I think that's getting a bit ahead of themselves. Jamaica's still got the score on the board as far as that level is concerned. Capella... Well, I think Capella, didn't she run fourth in the...
It hates the setback with our Ivanhoe here. He just, no one wants to touch him on course. I quite like him, if you've got to be forgiving. I reckon this is the biggest push all day. This 3-year-old in his first racing preparation, Montaigne. I found it hard to tip him in a race like this, but some really, really good judges want to back him very hard here.
Or can leaf
there beautifully. He doesn't look like... It's not uncommon for 3-year-olds to win this race too, so if you do get a smart one, they can bob up. It has happened.
And Anthony's done it before with 5.5 star.
He certainly has.
The BMW stand by for a start and the gates open. They're off and racing. Grand Marshal taken back together with Preferment. Now looking for the leaders. On the inside, Rising Romance, Montaigne away well. Whiteout Storm, the Stars going forward. Mongolian Khan being restrained. Our Moonquith handy, so's our Ivanhoe. We'll stay with the leaders for the moment. Our Ivanhoe and Storm, the Stars are pushing forward. Mongolian Khan really being snagged out of it by Boston. Our Moonquith darts towards the front and Montaigne is right there. Arab Dawn's got a forward spot and Mongolian Khan's caught 4 wide now down the side of the course. Rising Romance takes a sit back in the field. So does Preferment, Grand Marshal and Who Shot the Barman's last one, 1400 out. Our Ivanhoe in front from Storm the Stars and an outright second. Mongolian Khan coursing very deep. Goes to third position from Montaigne. The 3-year-old's getting a terrific run into it. Our Moonquith back to 5th now, followed by Rising Romance. Preferment out deep from the Grey Arab Dawn. Grand Marshal and Who Shot the Barman's last. They're at the halfway mark now. Our Ivanhoe in front, inside the halfway. Just in front of Storm the Stars, Mongolian Khan doing it tough today. He's never missed a place at 2,400 metres, including 2 derbies and a Caulfield Cup, but he'll have to earn his win today. The 3-year-old Montaigne parked in on the fence from our Moonquith. Preferment taking closer order. Then Arab Dawn from Rising Romance. Who Shot the Barman? Starting to improve his position. And Grand Marshal's last of all. The BMW's on in earnest at the 600. And Bowman makes his move on Preferment. He's coming back down towards the rails. Preferment dashes to the front from Storm the Stars, our Ivanhoe. Then came Who Shot the Barman with a big run today on the outside. Preferment in front. Who Shot the Barman up to second. Montaigne going to third. Preferment in front. Who Shot the Barman? Montaigne sticks on. Grand Marshal making ground. Preferment in front from Who Shot the Barman. Grand Marshal, Rising Romance. Preferment in front. Who Shot the Barman? Drives, misses. Preferment wins the BMW. Beats Who Shot the Barman. Grand Marshal third in front of Montaigne. Then Rising Romance, Storm the Stars, our Moonquith, Arab Dawn, Mongolian Khan and our Ivanhoe led and ran last.
The BMW looks like this. Walla, Walla, Walla. Preferment has done it again. He won the Australian Cup on protest. He wins the BMW outright today and holds off the stablemate Who Shot the Barman and Grand Marshal down the outside. There'll be a head, maybe a long...
Very brave move to take off and go for home at the 650 in a race like that at Wave for Age, but he did it and he would have been blamed for it if he got run down, but he didn't. That was another A1 decision by Hugh Bowman and held up.
In your book now.
Yeah, he certainly is. I missed his VRC Derby win through suspension and that was a bit of a gut-wrenching day, but look, in racing you got to take the good with the bad, and look, he's a horse that hasn't shown that he can quicken, but I didn't want to be left flat-footed, so I pulled him out a lot earlier than I usually would, and he showed a turn of foot and I thought, oh no, but I was able to rely on him, and although he was out of carrots late in the piece, he stuck his head out, and Chris Waller-Quinella.
Yeah, the rest of the team. Congratulations, yourself, your husband Frank, and what a great group of owners.
He's a genius. As simple as that, he has trained another Group 1 trifecta. Preferment, the Derby winner, the Australian Cup winner on protest. He won a Turnbull. He's now captured the BMW. He's a super horse. $4.40 and a future stallion, the son of Seville, defeats Who Shot the Barman. Grand Marshal, well, 2 big ticks towards Sydney Cup. They fought out the Sydney Cup last year. I think they'll be fighting it out again. They were fantastic. What a ride, Simon Marshall, by Huey Bowman.
Yeah, I love the ride. It reminded me of the Hill Stakes ride that you took off at the 700 metre mark when they backed off the tempo. He said, "Bugger it, I'm gonna do something different on this horse, wind him up and get him rolling." And that's his go. We saw that at Flemington in the Australian Cup. When he winds up, gets that clear room, he's quite powerful. There was one little question with your olds. He likes to train seasoned horses that are furnished and physically sound.
And maybe he's trying to win races that others aren't. You know, the focus here is on short and sharp and early return. Yeah. Maybe Waller's just there's a gaping hole that he's filled almost almost by himself.
And he's bordering on a genius. I think he's 11th overall in Group 1s in history in Australia, and he only won his first Group 1 about 8 years ago. He's a marvel. Let's have a look at the Queen Elizabeth. He's a marvel. Let's have a look at the Queen Elizabeth market. That's where preferment's going. And Brad, you can tell us where others are going.
Preferment to the Queen Elizabeth. Imagine his stud value if you can win that one. Simon, Who Shot the Barman and Grand Marshal, perfect Sydney Cup trials in the eyes of Chris Waller. Mongolian Khan, big disappointment, going for a spell and might be retired. Discussions over the next couple of days.
But it's probably a bad time to pick it up because just the tactics in the race. But look, there was a little query with him at 2,400, not by probably a lot of people, but by connections, I feel, and Bowman and Chris and himself. But he made him run 2,400. He took off. He ducked back into probably that little bit better section of the track in close there, and he was brave here. When Who Shot the Barman loomed to him, you thought, oh, he might just outstay him here, but he pulled out plenty just with just that touch of quality. Grand Marshal, that horse is absolutely flying.
Yeah. Just wants a soft track. He just went to hang in there on the last little bit, Grand Marshal. That'll be the track. Just
Mongolian Khan's back, who'd covered ground the whole way, and he went awful, Mongolian Khan. He'd probably be retired to stud now, but then they slow, and Bowman says, OK, I'm ready to go on any moment now, and off he goes. And you don't see this often from Huey, but it was a brave and a winning move. There's no doubt about it.
He went up. He didn't go up quickly at this stage, did he? He just ambled up to them.
And then he thought, they're not going any good, these.
Yes.
And he said, I'm going to clear these and have a go. It was just a bloke that's been making all the right decisions. The blokes behind him were wary of it, and they tried to react to his move. Well, Who Shot the Barman did, that's for sure. So, but that's where he won it, where he ducked back in, and that's where he pinches that extra length that is needed there.
Yeah, it's hard to run him down when they do that. And look, I think he's a somewhat superior horse to Who Shot the Barman, who ran very well, ran out of his skin and ran him to a neck. But I think, you know, Preferment is a genuine Group 1 weight for age horse, and I'm not sure who Shot the Barman really is, nor with Grand Marshal, but they ran very, very well. Can't make excuses for any of them behind. They had their opportunity. There's our Ivanhoe just pulling up long last. He's pulled up the problem. He's going back to Victoria. You know, does anyone give Preferment a chance of beating Winx and a Queen Elizabeth in 2 weeks' time, 2,000 metres?
I can't see any hands in the air.
No, but track conditions will play a role.
Well, she's got to get through next week first.
Yeah, that's true, and track conditions will play a role. You know,
just that she's never probably backed up, and you know, she's got to go through one of our best handicap races of the year, if not the best handicap race.
I'm not wishing it to happen, of course.
Already. Signals.
As we're here for the Group 2 Emancipation Stakes, and the man who trained it is her distance limit, but you don't believe that. You think she's good to a mile at least?
Oh, I think so. You know, going back on her earlier form, she ran second in the binary. She ran
2.10.4. I'm a real fan of Zanbar and the way she's going, and $11 I could easily have something each way her. Solicit, a bonny mare from the front, and does look to get everything in her favour today.
And they're off and racing, and the favourite got it off to a great start. Solicit on the outside. McAvoy's looking for the lead. Newitt came out running on Bardaware in the pair. Vie for the early lead, and Sapara splitting them. Zambar and Skyline Blush are pretty handy, followed by Just a Blur, then Amicus. Further back to Casino Dan. Skyline Blush, length and a half into Amicus from Just a Blur, Slightly Sweet, Casino Dancer. Then Pasadena Girl from Lady LaFay. And last of all is Thunder Lady down the side of the course, and Sapara on top. She held out the favourite Solicitor. Bardaware just smoking the pipe in third, although she's getting a bit keen now. Bardaware, she got close to heels. Telepathic improves, followed by Skyline Blush, then Zambar. Amicus to the outside, and Just a Blur as they straighten up. Sapara in front. Solicit's under immense pressure. Bardaware goes for the run on the inside. Then Telepathic, Zambar into the clear, and Amicus down the outside. Sapara in front. Solicit can't win. Bardaware goes up the inside. Zambar chimes in together with Amicus. It's Bardaware going up the fence. Zambar in the white cap. Amicus the outside. Zambar hits the lead in the Emancipation, and Zambar gets the money. Blake Shin got a hone to beat Sapara and Amicus. Then Bardaware. Further back, Just a Blur, Slightly Sweet, Lady LaFay. Skyline Blush. Solicit didn't get the lead on her own today, and she weakened out from Pasadena Girl. Casino Dancer and Thunder Lady was last to finish.
Well, the Group 1s haven't gone their way today. That's been O'Hara and Bowman. But the rest of the show, it's all been about Shin and McDonald. And Shin gets another one here. Here he is on Z.
Blake become available. That's part of racing. might have got the job done on it as well. I'm sure she would have got the job done on her as well, but put into a beautiful spot. She's just been racing so well for John Thompson. I can't find a bad run for her, and I was thinking, I want it to be wet, I want it to be wet, I want it to be wet. And I said, no, her lead-up form's in the dry, and I think the lead-up form is good enough, and it was. Good, strong performance, and great to see her back into the winner's circle. This Sapara, 1,200 to 1,500 yesterday, way up in class, but with an aggressive ride.
Wasn't it?
She's...
And because the pace was solid in this race, you know. When you've got horses like...
Look, of the others, look, I thought... Solicit pulled up sore.
Yes.
She'll probably have to go to the paddock there. Lady LaFay, I thought, was very good.
I reckon it's fair to say that when you get high-class racing on good tracks, it's hard to make up ground at any time.
Well,
because they're good horses and they're not going to get tired and they're going to run time. So
I love it
at Randwick, but let's have a look at this amazing win. If you didn't see the action last night on racing.com, it was Dubai World Cup night, and Australia had one representative in the sprint, and it was the old warrior Buffering.
Ready. Gates fly, they're racing in the Elgar sprint, and Peniophobia and Jungle Cat came out very quickly. Not Listen to Me began well. Buffering fast away to Gel and Belcanto behind the pace. Followed by Gold Ream, Soul Power, Lady Shipman. Fit Yarn angling to the outside with Sir Maximilian, and Muther is last of all as they charge down the straight and split into two groups. Far side, Not Listening to Me, Jungle Cat, Belcanto, Nadir behind them. Now they merge. Erdogel in the centre, going after Penophobia. Buffering amongst the leading group, clear of Muthmur, and then Lady Shipman with 300 metres left to go. Peniophobia and Buffering, tackled by Erdogel on the far side. Buffering on the grandstand side. Penophobia and Erdogel. Buffering in front, 100 metres left to go from Penophobia. Erdogel's lunging at the end. Buffering in front. Life is great in the Sunshine State, and those Queenslanders are celebrating. Buffering beat Erdogel and Penophobia.
What a fantastic call, and Buffering wins another Group 1 and a race worth $1 million US, 600,000 US goes to Robert Heathcote, a $22,000 yearling. But Matt, this is the horse that we love because it links us back to the mighty Black Caviar.
It does, and another reminder, if we didn't need one about how great she was. He's just a sort of a nothing horse in a way, isn't he? He's not anything to look at. He was a cheap horse. He lived in other horses' shadows for most of his career, and he didn't win his first Group 1 until he was the age where most horses are winding up. So he's an extraordinary reversal story of a great horse late in life, isn't he? And he hasn't even, Simo, you'd know better than I, he hasn't even got what you'd say is a magnificent action. He's just a scrambling sort of sprinter who just seems to always hold them off. And now he's the second highest earning sprinter, isn't he, behind Black Caviar?
He reminds me a lot of Better Loosen Up. He wasn't the best horse in the Manning Yard, didn't have the best coat, wasn't the flashiest type, but his race day mannerism was just phenomenal. His big heart and lungs. So he's the sprinting version of Better Loosen Up for mine, because he just gets better as he gets older, the horse. To Robert Heathcote and the team, congratulations travelling the horse over there. Hortensia and Elvestrom we've seen on the big stage in Dubai. Now you've done it, mate, and made Australia proud. Your owners as well. Over 800k jumps in US. That is the 8-year-old. What a phenomenal win to the race.
Mel, he's in front, Mel. Mel, he's in front. Mel, he's in front. Melly! He's got him! Yes! Relax, sorry. Oh, man. Very cool, guys. Right. I know you're going to be busy in June with football well underway and everything, and we're going to Hong Kong on May the 1st. We're not coming home, we're going to England. We're going to Royal Ascot. I just spoke with the Nick Smith. He runs the Ascot show, and I said, what's in it? He said, oh, Hong Kong will get you to London and we'll get you home.
Isn't that fantastic?
Wow.
And well done to everyone involved. We mic'd up Rob Heathcote, so well done to our racing.com team, and Clint Hutchinson's over there on the ground. That is fantastic vision. And having that 1,000 metres, we know that he's better. I know he's won Group 1s at 1,000. I reckon he's better at 1,200 metres. So yeah, he's going to take a power beating when he goes to Hong Kong and also when he goes to Royal Ascot.
Smart by Hong Kong. Mr. Robert Heathcote, Damien Brown, all the owners. We're going to play that a little bit later.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Wow,
That is just outstanding, isn't it? I've seen the race, and the old bloke was at his absolute best. He just sat up on the pace and crushed him.
Yeah, did his thing, didn't he?
Yep.
He's a real bulldog.
Oh,
He pulled out all stops and...
In the Sunshine State, and those Queenslanders are celebrating. Buffering beat Erdogel and Petaphobia.
Damien Brown and Robert Heathcote.
Oh, the locals don't know what to hit them there. Look, there'll be a wild mob there.
Yeah.
They don't know about not having a drink. I think they'll find one.
Yeah.
No,
they won't.
Yes, they will.
These ones will in the hotels, but the locals won't.
No, the locals won't.
No, when they interviewed Heathcote on radio this morning, he'd already had 5 crownies.
Yeah.
They ran
you can
nearly
have a drink over there.
Yeah, they were only a tick outside the track record there, so he was at his absolute best there, buffering $1 million US race, which is, is going to be a hell of a first prize, and there's Robert, and he's as proud as.
Robbie Heathcote.
What a result. What a result.
Yeah, he deserves it too. He's done a wonderful job with that horse.
Back to 1,000 metres and...
I'll tell you what those are. Here's California Chrome winning the Dubai World Cup on dirt. $10 million this race.
They get away from Special Fighter, but California Chrome has gone into overdrive. He's 2 lengths in front. He's clear of Mubdahij battling on. Then Wish, but it's California Chrome in front. It's Alchemy in Dubai. Chrome turns to gold. California Chrome wins the Dubai World Cup.
I think he's been practising that one.
In the vault.
Oh, yeah, Tezza.
It's been in the vault.
Yeah. Look, I would like, personally, it's a fantastic effort, California Chrome. We know that from his great 3-year-old years in the United States. But I'd love to see a World Cup dirt and a World Cup turf. I just think $10 million...
$20 million in.
Well, $10 million for specialist dirt horses is a lot of money.
What do you want to do? $5 million, $5 million?
Well, something like that. I think you get a good field.
Lake Mail for the size produce. He's been keen on Tel Perry. On which way are you going, Ronnie?
Although he was a little easy in the market, I can't go past him. I think he looks superb. Just that little question mark first time on a soft track. That's always a question mark with these horses. I think she's got a real talent, this Oh My.
Cheers, Elle. It's first of the Group 1s, day 1 of the championships. Inglis sires, 2-year-olds in action, $1 million up for grabs. 10 gets it at Werribee ahead of the 6, and the favourite is Yankee Rose. Into this at its second run, this preparation for David Van.
And they're off and racing. Good standing jump, very well from the outside. Drives to an early lead. Zam Zam pretty handy together with Detective, and Yankee Roses with the leaders, followed by Attention. Sparkle is quickly improving. Shimbora's caught pretty deep. Then Omay Sword back to third last, Faraway Town from Seaburge, and Revo Boyer is the last one. Detective goes through to a narrow lead with Sparkle pretty handy on the fence, and Zam Zam in third. Good standing jump well, but it's caught wide. Attention just buries up behind them, followed by Omay Sword and Telperian's midfield. A length further back to Yankee Rose from Faraway Town. Revo Boy, Shimbora's very deep, and Seaburge is the last one as Sparkle really takes it up now at the 600 metres. Detective up on the outside in second from Zam Zam, and good standing. Sidles up to them, 4 wide, racing to the home turn. Yankee Rose tracks up with Shimbora. Telperian's midfield just behind them. Omay Sword's got an inside run together with Attention. They're hugging the rails as they turn. Here we go, 400 metres to run. The inside Attention with Omay Sword, but wide out. Good standing's got its neck in front from Zam Zam, Detective, and Yankee Rose on the outside. Burton says, go on Yankee Rose, and she dashes to the front. Telperian goes into second. Yankee Rose 2 lengths clear from Telperian. Faraway Town out of the pack for third, but Yankee Rose takes out the English sires. Burton eases it down to win it by 2.5 to Telperian. Faraway Town third, then Revo Boy. Good standing next from Seaburge. Omay Sword done no favours by being on the fence. Then Detective from Zam Zam, Shimbora. Dropping well out of it was Attention, and Sparkle after leading was last in.
Well, if there wasn't Capitalist in the Golden Slipper, she would have won. And here she is a couple of weeks later lining up in the sires, and she has raced away from them. She gets her Group 1 today, Ronnie.
What a racehorse. What a racehorse she is.
People in the media and just the general racing public, it's just been overwhelming.
How much better did you think she'd be today, having that 2 weeks after the slipper?
Look, I was very nervous about how she'd come through that, because sometimes you don't know how a horse is going to be second up until they run. I was very happy with her this last week.
In the Golden Slipper, David Van Dyke, when she finished second first up, she went to another level, and it was that Golden Slipper form, wasn't it, Simon, that came through with Telperion finishing a clear second, and they basically thrashed the rest. Is there an argument to say that Yankee Rose is the best two-year-old in Australia?
Very much so, Michael, because, and I've got to once again concur that David Van Dyke's training performance here was outstanding. To run in a Golden Slipper first up, hard, tough 6 furlongs against the best two-year-olds, and for her to run second the way she did, and then come on to improve. He said this was a grand final in the size produce, sit on the speed, but not just break away from them, absolutely brain them. And to the Derby boys, syndicators, congratulations. This is a $10,000 purchase. You've got a great team behind you, and it's a wonderful result for a syndicating group like yourself, and it's a...
She's won $10,000 buy. She's won, was it 1.4, 1.5 million now, BZ? That's the stuff of fairy tales.
The race was that it's David Van Dyke's first Group 1, and I got
good news, BZ, and we know the story about David Van Dyke. He's been very open about it, the battles he's had, and the attempt to take his life and his addiction and his comeback. And interestingly, his former name was David Hayes, and he then changed it to his mother's name. So it's great to see David doing so well. BZ, great to have you.
She was first up in the slipper, and a tremendous effort to run second behind Capitalist. She lines up in the sires yesterday, Yankee Rose, and she wins for David Van Dyke. If that was the main race on the day, you'd be pretty happy walking away seeing a special filly like that.
A great story. $10,000 filly. Everyone rolled their eyes when the plan was put in place so long ago, it seems. And first up at a slipper, we'll have her ready for the, her targets are the sires and the champagne. She's come out, she's run second in the slipper, she's got the first target done, the main goal, and the next goal is to come, and she's going to be running a short price favourite. I thought when he got through there, I thought Telperion was going to monster her there, but she was too tough for him.
And why I reckon she'll run the 1,600 metres right out. If you look at her, it's hard to see there because it's too late there. She's already gone to the front. If we get a chance to roll back to about the 250, 300 metre mark, she's still on the bit when the others have all come off the bit. Now, that to me tells me that, that'll happen again in the 1,600 metre race. She'll be the last one to come off the bit again.
Oh, yeah.
And she'll be hard to beat. Golden Slipper form, like always, fabulous form for the sires, and those two just franked it. I agree with you on Revo Boy. There are a couple of others that ran nice races behind, but you really couldn't be raving about them.
Faraway we're about to go.
He just got her up to a top, which is all the jockeys are saying. That's good to use the whip to do that. And he gave her a slap on the shoulder there. Now watch this. She's back on. He's just sitting on her here now. Look at the others. They're all off the bit. And then he says, right, let's give it the last effort. And this is where she starts to accelerate. And he gave her a couple of slaps behind the saddle there, and it was all over.
I don't know about a couple of slaps. Didn't he get fined for the whip rule?
Hang on,
not in this race. Not everyone else.
Yes.
Did he?
Yes.
Wow.
$2,000.
What for?
$2,000. I'll tell you. Just stand by. Zach Pertenrider, the winner, was fined $2,000 for having used the whip in consecutive strides.
What, before the 100 metre mark?
Prior to the 100 in consecutive strides.
I must have been the only 2 times.
You know what? Let's not start.
Here, 113.25. Tarzino, look, I reckon he's a superior colt. He's a superior staying colt, and he's out to prove it here today. He ticks every single box. This filly has paraded beautifully here. Jamaica, she gets all the on-pace favours and run-of-the-race stuff in her favour. 2, Vanbrugh, peaking on the right day. Best of the rest is Sovereign Nation, number 5, best long shot.
Favourite too. He's $1.10. Does he deserve to be?
Well, it's very, very short. I mean, it's one of those races where if he runs second, I'm having a very bad day. You know, we expect him to win. He's got to win, doesn't he? You know, but look, we've been in this
$9 today. It's the story here at $21. Etymology and Torgerson at $26. Tavago $31. Sovereign Nation $35. Gold Ambition $51.
Over the mile and a half, and they're off and racing. And Whiteout Jamaica's jumped away well. The inside Tavago, What's the Story, and Tarzino's right up on the pace with Oso Splendido. Jamaica's beaten for speed. Etymology moves up on the inside. Then Alfton from Torgerson, Sovereign Nation, Vanbrugh, Tally caught 3 wide out of the straight. Gold Ambition snagged back, and Crosley Hotshot is the last one, turning out of the straight. And Tarzino rolls up on the outside of Oso Splendido. Think Newitt's looking for where Jamaica is. She moves to third. Up on the outside as they race up the back section of the course. Then Tavago back on the rails from What's the Story. Then Etymology further back to Alfton on the rails from Torgerson up to the 1200 metre mark. Oso Splendido leads out by a length to Jamaica. Tavago third from Tarzino. Then Alfton, Tally, McDonald's inching closer up on the outside. He wants to be in striking distance of the hot favourite. What's the Story between them? Then Sovereign Nation, Etymology, Gold Ambition on the improve, getting onto the back of Tally. Then Torgerson from Crosley Hotshot, and Vanbrugh is still back last. They haven't gone hard in the derby. Oso Splendido in front from Jamaica. Then Tavago, Tarzino just moving up into a 3-wide position now down the side of the course. Tally just behind from What's the Story. Then came Alfton. Further back to Sovereign Nation, Etymology, Gold Ambition off the track. Vanbrugh's back third last from Torgerson, and Crosley Hotshot's the last one. They've got just over 500 metres to run, and Jamaica races to the lead. Tavago the inside. Tarzino's going very wide around the turn, and Tully's trying to get onto his back into the straight. Tavago up on the inside of Jamaica. Newitt goes for the whip now on Tarzino. Tully's a length behind him. Tavago for New Zealand's getting a great sight. He shook off the filly Jamaica. Tarzino can't win. Tully went past it, but Tavago's clear in the derby. Tully down the outside, trying to get up for second from Jamaica, but Tavago is going to run them ragged in the Australian derby. Tavago bolts up from Jamaica and Tully. Tarzino up on the speed, but it backfired for him. Then Etymology, followed by What's the Story, then Vanbrugh, Crosley, Hotshot, Torgerson, Sovereign Nation, Gold Ambition, Alfton, and Oso Splendido was last to finish.
There is a bit of a boil over in the derby. Tavago, number 9, for Trent Busserton and Natalie Young from Cambridge in New Zealand. And the local boy, Tommy Berry, wins his first derby. Wow.
Yeah, look, initiative. You saw what you'd have to say, a dominant performance. Jamaica just outsprinted. She stuck on very, very well there. The favourite just couldn't sprint. No real excuses for him.
This is one out of the box. This is like beating Aussie in cricket.
Yeah, it is indeed. Well done to you.
Good on you. Thanks.
All right, well, part of the training partnership of Trent.
No, cheers, mate. Thanks. It was, yeah, great and very exciting.
And congratulations, because you've won it with your partner, Natalie Young, and she has become the first female trainer in history to have won the Australian Derby, a race first run in 1861. Was she aware of that last night?
No, yeah, they pointed it out to us afterwards, and, yeah, like you say, it's pretty special and good to have her name alongside it and get that Group 1 together.
Congratulations, Trent. Simon here. Mate, I had a look at the New Zealand Derby, his run where he missed a kick, he got squashed, there was carnage out of the straight the first time, he was stone motherless last, and his last 800 was phenomenal. Tell us about that day.
Yeah, he sort of, he was early favourite all the way through the New Zealand Derby as form, and then things went wrong. The lead up to the Derby and the Waikato Guineas, he tailed off badly and jarred up, and lost a bit of confidence out of that race, and went into the Derby a month between runs, and didn't want to hit out again on the firm surface, and sort of Noel Callow did his best for the horse, but he wouldn't go early, and only the last sort of half mile we got into it, and he charged home, and his sectionals was sensational and probably should have won the race without doubt. So that gave us a bit of confidence to get him over here and have a crack at this one.
Well, it certainly gave SD Marshall a lot of confidence as well. His pockets are bulging. There's wads just falling out of it because he was well and truly on you yesterday. Let's relive something as dominant as that, and what a day for Tommy Berry. We're going to talk about Tommy in a moment, but to take the group soon and then tally as well. But it was all about the winner yesterday. Trent, were you expecting a performance like that, or did it actually surprise you how dominant he was?
Oh, you know, you certainly don't go in thinking they're going to win like that, but we were bringing him here thinking, you know, he was a good show. That the New Zealand Derby form and, you know, the 3-year-old Starm form always stacks up, and if you look at the past few years, Murray Breaker always brings one over, and we knew he'd improved out the run in the New Zealand Derby. He went into this race a lot better, and we knew with the cut out of the ground he was really going to enjoy that. So when he drew one, we just hopeful he'd get out the gates, and when he did that, it was sort of everything went to script. It was just watching it, it was...
In that race there, Tarzino was the story. He's the shortest price favourite ever to be beaten in the ATC Derby, and our winner Tavago is actually the longest price winner, so it wasn't a good day for the favourite punters there in the Derby. Now, Tarzino, Craig Newitt said he knew he was in trouble at the 600 metre mark. The horse just felt uncomfortable. He got back onto his Melbourne leg, which means he couldn't accelerate when he needed him to. And Mick Price thinks that also the track was a contributing factor to the defeat. He described it as gluggy yesterday, and he said while he won his maiden on a heavy 10, it was only his maiden, and horses can get away with it in an inferior class of race. He doesn't think he's a wet tracker, and those two factors combined to bring undone Tarzino.
Watching the race, the biggest thing with Tarzino was he pulled. He was pulling the first 3/4 of the race. And Trent, I guess Trent was looking at his own horse, but...
But Tavago is going to run them ragged in the Australian Derby. Tavago bolts up from Jamaica and Tally.
Well, Trent Busserton and Natalie Young training in partnership. Trent had won a derby with Sangster.
Yep.
And now they've got an AJC derby. Of course, Sangster won a Victoria derby. Now, put this race into perspective for me, Duff. How good is this winner? He put a gap in them.
Yeah, look, it's hard to say. He's just a wiry little staying New Zealand type, nothing special about him, but he can obviously, he's got a turn of speed. I think he'd been a bit sluggish out of the barrier in a few of his runs in New Zealand, and they were just behind the barrier yesterday. You could see Tommy Berry, probably under instructions, rev this horse. He was giving him a couple of slap-ups before he went in the barrier, and he showed intent. And he found that once he found that position, you thought, oh, he's travelling all right, this horse. And look, I couldn't have found him. I know his run in the Derby was quite good, and he ran into a few dead ends there. And but he was quite dominant in the finish.
I'll tell you something about him too. You watch him when we replay it. You watch him up the straight here. His action in the wet ground. He doesn't change his action. Yeah. A lot of horses, their action slightly changes in wet ground. He just floats over it. So
favourite in the Oaks.
Yeah, she was great. I think she was great anyway. She looked beautiful in the yard, and I reckon she's still got good condition on her. I reckon she's ready to back up.
It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard to do, but I reckon he's got the right filly to do that.
Well, you loved her in the yard yesterday.
Oh,
she
look,
stood out, didn't she?
She scared me. I loved the favourite. And he was... I say, although he over-raced, I can't find an excuse for him, honestly. Going into the race, he's handled the wet before. We showed he could race on the speed. Look, I know he over-raced, but he found the 1-1. He cruised up in the right part of the track on the turn, and then in one stride, he was gone.
I stuck my neck out in the mounting yard yesterday.
Right. No,
I stuck my neck...
A lot of people probably overlooked his run, but first thing Trent said when he texted me, he said, I want you to ride my horse and check his times. They're brilliant. So, well done, guys.
Yep, and Tommy is back in Hong Kong right now. He caught the overnight plane and he's riding designs on Rome today.
Yeah, look, it's a busy schedule for these jockeys. It's just a world.
Racing our sprinters. We have some of the best sprinters in the world, and some of them are right here today. And those two that you've mentioned, they'd be right up there in the top 10 sprinters.
Here is such an outstanding horse here in Sydney, and I really love the way he's been trialling in preparation for this. He might just be able to hold out.
And we start with Chautauqua, last year's winner, the grey for Team Hawkes, and Tommy Berry.
Yeah, well, he's a champion sprinter. We know that. He's
James McDonald.
Big, laid-back 3-year-old here. Nothing phases him. Love this horse. He gets his chance
at Malachi. Well, Greg, this is a massive betting race here. Both these favourites, Chautauqua and Exosphere, have touched 380 on course at different stages in the betting, and they've both firmed in on course from that $3.80. Chautauqua $3.50 and Exosphere back into favourite now at $3.40. That's on.
We're all set now. Ready for a jump on the TJ. Stand by for a break. We're about to go. And they're off and racing in the TJ. Exospheres jumped in the second half of the field, and Chautauqua gets back in the early part. And Fell Swoops jump well together with Flamberge. Our Boy Malachi is starting to muster now, and Our Boy Malachi goes right up the fence, followed by Dothraki, pretty handy to them. Then came Famous Seamus, and right off the track there, and going forward is Exosphere into a more prominent position. Just behind the speed is Terra Vista from Delectation. English gets well back, followed by Noy Dart, Fast and Rocking, Boss Lane. Last year's winner, Chautauqua's last and about 12 lengths off the leaders, which is Our Boy Malachi. On the inside of Fell Swoop, Shiraz off the track from Flamberge, then Dothraki. Exospheres working his way into the clear. Further back to English, Chautauqua still back last into the straight. Our Boy Malachi 2 lengths clear from Dothraki, Fell Swoop and Shiraz. English is coming down the outside. Exospheres not in the hunt, and Chautauqua's coming with a big run on the outside. Our Boy Malachi being tackled by Fell Swoop. Here he comes, Chautauqua, boom, right over the top. Chautauqua takes out the TJ, back-to-back wins, beats Fell Swoop and English. Our Boy Malachi next, followed by Boss Lane. Last year's winner, Chautauqua's last and about 12 lengths off the leaders, which is Our Boy Malachi. On the inside of Fell Swoop, Shiraz off the track from Flamberge, then Dothraki. Exospheres working his way into the clear. Further back to English, Chautauqua still back last into the straight. Our Boy Malachi 2 lengths clear from Dothraki, Fell Swoop and Shiraz. English is coming down the outside. Exospheres not in the hunt, and Chautauqua's coming with a big run on the outside. Our Boy Malachi being tackled by Fell Swoop. Here he comes, Chautauqua, boom, right over the top. Chautauqua takes out the TJ, back-to-back wins, beats Fell Swoop and English. Our Boy Malachi next, followed by Dothraki, then Delectation, Terra Vista, Fast and Rocking, Rebel Dane. Exosphere couldn't pick up, then Noydart, Famous Seamus, Boss Lane, Shiraz and Flamberge. He's done it.
That surely leaves everyone speechless. What can you say? He is a sprinting machine. From last, the big grey, over the top of them like they were nailed to the fence.
Well, I'm speechless, absolutely speechless. They got to the half mile there. Well, the first thought that went through my mind, well, he can't win, Chautauqua. And to think that he's just run over the top of them like that. What a day Tommy Berry's having. And Team Hawks, you've got to admire. Look.
I can't tell you how happy I am to be where I am at the moment. There's a few times people have doubted me whether I've gone off the ball and stuff like that. So to show up on a big day today and get the winners on the board, I was so happy.
He's a superstar from last to first.
Yeah, but look, everyone, they wrote him off a little bit this week, thinking, not wrote him off, but they thought, you know, Shay's horse, he was the one to beat. But, you know, John gave me very confident instructions. He said, first half of the race, forget about the race and just ride your own bit, and then from the 600 wake him up. And Jesus, if we take him overseas, we're going to have a ride, aren't we?
He's explosive. What does he feel like when he takes off?
Oh, he's just a machine. It's not the initial part when he takes off. So halfway down the straight, he lets go, and you're like, am I going to get him? And then that last 100 metres, woohoo! Geez, he goes.
How's two?
Last and looked to be struggling, and to win by a margin in the finish.
Here's the owner. We're going to get to the owner, Rupert Lee, in just a moment. He is just riding this wave of success with this wonderful grey Chautauqua.
Well, thanks, congratulations. That means so much. We can see.
Come up with things, but we're just watching it over and over again. It's amazing.
He's the best horse. I mean, it's always easy to say that when you stand near the #1 stall, but he is the best horse. And he's only had one bad race start, and that was on this day 2 years ago. He came here after he hadn't beaten the Gosford Guineas, and it was sticky that day, and he ran a shocker. Went to Scone after that and flew home and just got beat. I mean, he's only ever had one bad career run in his life. He's had 20 race starts, and onwards and upwards from here. I mean, even in Melbourne, we kept saying this was the grand final today. This is the one we wanted, because the truth is, this was the big one on the big stage. So the races in Melbourne were all fantastic, but it was good to be back here today.
What do you think, though, he's last?
We're going to Hong Kong, and hopefully we get there. And once we get to Hong Kong, if we win Hong Kong, then we'll look at England. But we're no guarantee to go to England, but we're definitely going to Hong Kong at the moment.
All right, well, there's a lot to look forward to.
Tarkwa's coming with a big run on the outside. Our boy Malachi being tackled by Fell Swoop. Here he comes, Chautauqua. Boom, right over the top. Chautauqua takes out the TJ. Back-to-back wins. Beats Fell Swoop in English.
Well, that was just phenomenal. And Tommy Berry, what a great day for Tommy Berry. And wasn't he supremely confident? He just flopped him out the back. He was still 2 lengths last in a home turn. He knew what he had underneath him. Fell Swoop is just running amazingly. In English, well, she franked her form from her first up win. BZ, I'm going to go to you first here. Chautauqua, it was just phenomenal. And we saw great scenes afterwards with the Team Hawks and Tommy Berry as well. He's now going to go to Hong Kong, and Royal Ascot is well and truly on the agenda as well.
Yeah, well, the Chairman's Sprint Prize is a Group 1 that's been added to the Global Sprint Challenge it was basically taking over from this old Singapore International Sprint on that 10-race series. So there's certainly a significant prize money carrot if Chautauqua can now go to Hong Kong and win that race on May 1, a 1,200-metre race at Sha Tin. And the Hawks stayed supreme there yesterday, Chautauqua. On the beaten brigade, I spoke with Matt Dale this morning concerning Fell Swoop. He was over the moon. The horse basically doubled his career prize money by running second there yesterday. He said the intention was to only have the 3 runs so far. He'd run in the Oakley Plate, he ran in the Galaxy, and then the first opportunity at Weight for Age yesterday in the TJ Smith. He's on track to head towards Brisbane. How they get there, Matthew Dale's not quite sure.
First horse to go back-to-back in the TJs, won now more than $5 million, Chautauqua. I think that was his best win. What do you think?
Well, that was his 4th Group 1 win, and Tommy Berry's won 3 of his Group 1s on him. Nothing against Wayne Dunn. He's had a terrific association with him in Victoria. But Tommy just seems to be... I think Chautauqua's got the best 300-metre sprint in any sprinter that I've seen in a long, long time. The big man, Black Caviar, rolled along in front. But Tommy's very brave to sit back, give him 15, 16 lengths from the 600 and still wait at the top of the straight and peel to the outside from almost an impossible position. He just knows what he can do. It takes a very brave ride to do that.
Really touched the ground, Chautauqua, don't they? He's a flashing ghost of a horse, isn't he? Exosphere, look, I know he pulled up injured. He wins a lot of trials. He is a cream puff.
Oh,
Exosphere is a cream puff.
Hello, John O'Shea's calling.
No, look.
Well, it's factual, Matty. Factual that
the Bunsen Burn's
has
been
failed at every big
horse
test
3 or 4 times now, and every time he's failed. I know he's pulled up injured yesterday, so I might be being a bit harsh.
But we remember he's a Group 1 winner as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, he did pull up significantly lame yesterday. John O'Shea said the first hour after the race yesterday, he didn't want to put his off foreleg on the ground, so they knew there was an issue. They had 3 vets go over him yesterday, and before they make any decisions what they do with him, plan was to go to Royal Ascot. That's just up in the air at the moment. They need to find out what the reason behind why he was lame yesterday was before they decide what they do next.
So, Sophia, you can have the 6 to 1.
Well, I'll throw the question out to you, boys. Who's better, Buffering or Chautauqua?
Chautauqua's a much better horse than Buffering.
Yeah. Buffering loves the straight.
Do we know which race the plan to go with Chautauqua is, though? Because everyone's been...
This fair's not in the hunt, and Chautauqua's coming with a big run on the outside. Our boy Malachi being tackled by Fell Swoop. Here he comes, Chautauqua. Boom, right over the top. Chautauqua takes out the TJ. Back-to-back wins. Beats Fell Swoop in English.
Incredible. Incredible. Wayne, tell us what... Did you watch it with your dad?
I'd like to watch it again now.
Well, we can watch it over and over again. Did you watch it with your dad?
I did, actually. What? Yeah, we're out the back.
So what were you thinking? You've got the leader, our boy Malachi, who gives a big kick, and we can't spot the grey at this stage.
Well, as you know, you interviewed me before the race, and I said, don't think Malachi's just going around for a look or setting the pace or anything like that. He's got a fair chance. And to be fair, Dwayne come in after the race and said didn't handle the track at all, didn't like the pudgy going, but when he hit the front and gave a kick over the old famous rise, we were a bit up and about, and we got to the 200, and it's great how you have the vision with the line, because it shows Chautauqua was second last at the 200, and I dig Dad in the ribs. I said, have a look at this thing down the outside, and him being him just said nothing and just smiled.
That's all you got.
That was enough.
Phenomenal performance, that, and his sectionals would be
you know, on that day, on that track, they'll run faster sectionals perhaps on dry going, but nothing on the day would have run better sectionals than him. It's not possible.
No. Probably Frank's the Lightning too.
Yeah.
Having a freaky run the Lightning, then to do what he did yesterday, probably just franks him as, you know, we all know he's great, but great horses have to keep doing great things. And honestly, the best thing about yesterday was the people that were talking to you after the race, congratulating you, but it's not about us. I mean, it's about the horse and how the public...
Right there, and our boy Malachi. Now, they dropped all the other ones on the pace and kept going, so there was great merit in their performances, those three up on the pace. And there was also great merit in not only your horse, which is obvious, but in English's performance. Hers was enormous. She'd have run the second fastest sectionals of the day, I reckon, behind Chautauqua. And then you'd have Fell Swoop. I just thought he ran out of the box. You know, Terra Vista, if you watch his run, he's making the run with the other two horses, English and Chautauqua. Gets a bit tight, jockey just relaxes on him for a second and he drops the bit. He's getting a bit cunning, old Terra Vista. If it had clear running and the jock was able to keep him going to the line, he probably would have finished a bit closer as well.
If I was a jockey... Now, Exosphere, there were legitimate excuses. He's pulled up significantly lame.
Yeah, so obviously there's a problem with him, and I suppose that'll be monitored over the next 24 hours, and we'll hear more from Godolphin then. But
I'll be surprised if we see him again.
Why?
Well, if he's not right this preparation, I reckon he's at stud next spring.
Why? Why is he at stud? What's he done to be at stud? Well, he's got to prove himself first.
Well,
he's a lovely horse.
He's one of your three-year-olds won a Group 1.
Yeah, that's about all you've got to do.
See him do something at 3.
Do you? In Europe, these horses would win a Caulfield Guineas or they'd win a Coolmore. They'd be retired the next day, and we cop it sweet after 4 race
Look,
starts.
I'd love to breed to him. He's a beautiful big animal.
For sure.
Yeah, he's a good looker.
Wait, could have told them. Not really. The pressure's on every time she races. Since winning, I guess, the Cox Plate, she was an underdog in our eyes in the Cox Plate. That was in a memory now easy. She came back and she was the Cox Plate winner. She was expected to win first up. She won well. She won a Group 1 next time, and then she went to another level in the George Ryder last start. So she just keeps raising the bar, and it's an amazing ride. And singing, yeah, she gets the same weight.
More than $1 million has been invested on Winx today. Fixed odds with tab.com.au. Such is the effect of her 25 times the amount of money invested on Winx than its nearest rival. Ascadelia second pick at 9. Kermadec trims in to $10. We've got Happy Clapper 15. Bow Creek and Volk Stock and Barrel at $18. Bernie, you're behind.
Final thoughts here, Ronnie?
Look, I'm just looking forward to an exciting race. I'd love to see her loom up, but this is a tough task for her, and all the punters are behind her. $1.80 in a handicap. Good luck to her.
So many people cheering her on. Can Winx and
Tegan Harrison and Rudy going out at big odds. We're all set now, ready for the Doncaster. Stand by for a break. Starter about to release the field. Winx the $1.80 favourite. Racing in the Doncaster, and Bow Creek missed the start. As Cadelia wasn't great out, she'll settle last, and Aoman first out with Vergara quickly away up into second. Turn Me Loose, Stratum Star are there. Kermadec's pretty handily, so's Good Project. Ecuador's out very deep, followed by Volk Stock and Barrel. Then Bow Creek from well back Happy Clapper. First Seal on the rails from Rudy. Now Winx is well back in the field as they settle down to the first turn. And as Cadelia brings up the rear, Vergara makes the running by a length on Turn Me Loose. Aoman's pretty handy to the speed, together with Ecuador the outside, then Kermadec, followed by Stratum Star, the rails, and the inside, a Good Project. A length further back to Bow Creek. Happy Clapper the outside. First Seal and the red blinkers next. Winx is back, fourth last past the 800 metres from Rudy, he or she. And last of all is Ascadelia. Vergara leads racing to the turn by a length and a half to Turn Me Loose. Ecuador in third, followed by Kermadec. Stratum Star saving ground on the fence from Aoman. Then Good Project from Bow Creek. Happy Clapper and Bowman's riding for luck on Winks, looking to slice his way right through the centre of the field, around the turn, and Vergara's gone for home. 6 lengths clear from Stratum Star in second. Winks has bottled up. Bowman goes back to the inside. She's got daylight now. Winding up on the outside is Happy Clapper and Good Project. Vergara in front, but here she comes, Winks. Happy Clapper tries, so does Ascadelia, but Winks has drawn clear in the Doncaster. Here's 9 in a row. She breaks all the records today. She's a champion, Winks. She wins it by 2 lengths to Happy Clapper. Ascadelia third. They romped it in from the rest. Vergara next from Bow Creek, he or she. Then Rudy from Stratum Star, Good Project. Further back, Ecuador, Volkstock and Barrel. Turn Me Loose, Aoman, Kermadec didn't fire. Nor did First Seal. She's broken all the records today.
Unbelievable. She is the best. There's no doubt about it. She's done it. She's won the 2 big miles here at Royal Randwick, the Epsom Doncaster double. Wedged in between, she won a Cox Plate. There is no argument. She is the best in Australia. She's a star.
Well, she speaks for herself, doesn't she? Look, commiserate.
Oh, I'm just delighted for her. Honestly, the build-up is really something, and I can really understand what people that have had other champion racehorses go through when they come to the races. Halfway through the race, I was concerned because the worn track, you know, it's racing on the worst side of soft, in my opinion. Race 9 today, it's had a fair bit of use, and she wasn't overly comfortable in it. So the fact that she wasn't comfortable and still produced that finish is something of only a horse of champion qualities can do. And I'm just, like I said, I'm elated.
It's almost Black Caviar like here today. She was never beaten, but this one may never be beaten again. That's 9 in a row. And Chris Waller has...
views. I probably haven't got any left, but I'll call her a champion while I can speak.
Well, that's great. She is. She gives this crowd so much. She gives her owner so much. She's giving racing what we really need.
Unbelievable. It's just I wouldn't say it's a blur, but it's pretty unbelievable. I thought she was beaten at the half mile, let alone the 200 metre mark, so she must have amazing will to win.
What is it? Do you know?
It can only be that she's not any more brilliant than any horse we work every day of the week.
It's amazing that we have to have one more race here today. Wouldn't that be a great way to finish? Winks. Where's Ronnie? I've lost Ronnie.
Winks. She wins it by 2 lengths to Happy Clapper.
As Darren Flindell said, 9 wins in a row. That is now her 6th Group 1. Chris Waller, I think, is it his 14th for the season, which is just remarkable. As for Chris Waller, it's his 6th Doncaster in 9 years, 4 in a row. We haven't seen the likes of that since TJ Smith was dominating racing 30 years ago. As far as Winks is concerned, she's now won $6.5 million. She's 8th on the all-time list. If she wins the Queen Elizabeth next week, she moves up to $8.9 million.
Well, Huey was under the pump there yesterday because, look, Randwick, they raced off the fence yesterday. When there's rain about, the fence is normally off at Randwick, so they come down the middle of the track, which they did all day. Being a relatively big field with the 15 runners, Hugh decided to ride a little cute, cut the bend, but at the 900 metre mark, he got himself into a pocket. Winks hit a couple of wet patches, and she was off the bridle. For the first time, we've seen this mighty mare in a little bit of trouble, in a pocket. Turn Me Loose was dropping back in his lap. He tried to follow Kermadec out at the top of the straight. Stratum Star shifted out on him when he was taking a tight gap, and there was 1 or 2 strides there where we had our hearts in our mouth for Hugh Bowman and Winks, because it looked as though she was going to get held up in a bad pocket. But like a superstar that she is, she just gets herself out of trouble. Ascadelia shoots through on the inside with Glenn Boss with the 50 kilos. She looked like she was going to challenge and maybe even win the race. And then Happy Clapper for Paddy Webster. Well done, mate. 500,000 for second.
Gee, that's stiff.
Super run.
Any other year it wins, probably.
But Winks, we saw her bottom out for the first time, get into trouble, but prove how good she is against the very best under handicap conditions. Only 3 4-year-old mares have won this race now. The last to do it was Private Steer with 53 kilos. She's done it now with 56.5 as a 4-year-old mare. Phenomenal.
You mentioned Hugh Bowman. Before we get into a discussion about the race, let's hear what he had to say after the win. He caught up with Richard.
This amazing mare, top of the straight. What's going through your mind when you've dead ends everywhere?
Well, I was all right by then because she was up and travelling underneath me, but going past the 900, she wasn't coping with the worn track. I mean, it's a 9th race this afternoon, and it's the first time I've ever been on her in mid-race. I've thought, oh, she's not as comfortable as she has been before, and that was a bit of a concern, but there was nothing I could do to make her start enjoying it. All I could do was help her through it. And I was very mindful not to get those engines going, because I knew when I did, she'd pick herself up, and she certainly didn't let me down. I was banking on Kermadec being one of the main ones to beat, and I was able to find his back approaching the 600, but he just wasn't coping with it at that point, and I just had the supreme horse to be able to just navigate a path, and wasn't she unbelievable?
Just an amazing horse. Even today, I thought she was beaten at the half and high, let alone the 600-metre mark and 400-metre mark. She was going nowhere, and I've never seen Huey have to niggle her. Even after a few hundred metres, she was in like she never gets back there, unless we're taking her back from wide draws, but that was not really the plan. And I don't know, it's all a bit of a blur, as I said, but she just looked like she was skipping a few strides in the track. Maybe she wasn't, but geez, she's got some guts that last 200 metres.
And to win the... Just talking about Winks, everyone's saying, oh, how good did the Mighty Mare go? Oh, geez, I was going no good yesterday, but I got out on Winks. She's just getting to that level where she's not at the Black Caviar stage yet, but is starting to get towards that, where every time she's going to the races, she's winning. People who have a casual interest in racing, or people who just like having a bet, they automatically know the name Winks, and she just...
Bruce McAvaney said something interesting, because he represents the wider sporting context, Macca, doesn't he? And he said she's almost on the precipice of the super elite now. She's probably gone past Atlantic Jewel and More Joyous. She probably sits somewhere between them and Makybe Diva and Black Caviar now.
I think you can almost say she's on a par now with Sunline. I know Sunline won 2 Cox Plates and all of that, but if she can win the Queen Elizabeth, I think you've got to say she's pretty close to Sunline.
I actually spoke to Chris Waller about that. At their same point of their careers, Winks has actually won 2 more Group 1 races. They've both won a Cox Plate, and now they've both won a Doncaster. And Winks has set the 4-year-old weight-carrying record. Yeah. But as Chris Waller said, he said, the thing with Sunline, she did it for 4 or 5 seasons. She won another Cox Plate, and she won overseas, which is on the radar for Winks.
She needs a season of repeating. I think she needs a season of repeating.
Clapper and good project. The Gar in front, but here she comes, Winks. Happy Clapper tries, so does Ascadelia, but Winks has drawn clear in the Doncaster. Here's 9 in a row. She breaks all the records today. She's a champion, Winks. She wins it by 2 lengths to Happy, the champion of the
Incredible.
turn.
Just watching those runners up again, Ronnie, Happy Clapper and Ascadelia, they were at their absolute top. They couldn't give any more.
Yep.
And she's in another league.
Incredible, yeah, absolutely incredible. They're coming with momentum, with 50 kilos on their back. And here she is, a mare with 56.5 or 57.5 with the vest and everything. She knew she had a run yesterday. She really did. She pulled up. She'd give it her all, which she had to do, and she was just clearly superior. Look, Happy Clapper, it's been well documented. He's been just set for this race since he won the Villiers. They've kept him on a weight for age prep. Everything went according to plan until the last moment when they decided to accept with Winks. Yeah. It's just amazing.
He wins a Doncaster in any other year.
And we'd be hailing him saying, wow, what a training performance that was.
When we talk about, Winks's motor, because everyone's going to... The people who don't follow racing as closely as we do are going to look at her and think, oh, she's a superstar. We should be seeing a superstar. But when you look at her, there's a million horses look like Winks, right? What you can't see, and this clearly shows it, is the motor inside. Now, those horses, Happy Clapper and Ascadelia, they're running their motors at top speed to get to that position. She's just got that slightly bigger engine where she can keep going at that pace. When they're running out of gas, she's not. And that's the difference between her and them. They've run fantastic races, Happy Clapper and Ascadelia, but they just couldn't maintain that top speed for as long as she can. And that's her real quality. You can't see it physically. It's all inside and mental with her, but she can maintain that top speed.
And Ascadelia, arguably had to come in a little bit slower section of the track there, but no excuse, but I mean, her run was fantastic. What about Vergara? Where did she pull that from?
Well, she's been in career best form.
Well, she won I'm not going to say a crappy race, but...
Well, I think she's in career best form.
She's racing well. But Doncaster?
Well,
the marketplace said she was a 200 to 1 chance.
I know, she ran out of her skin.
A fleeting second there.
Just for a moment.
Yeah.
Just for a moment you thought...
When you saw all these horses just hard-ridden behind her, and she's sort of not in full gear yet, and then she angles to the best part of the track. Good ride, Kathy, good ride. Probably under instructions, but...
Hey, Kathy is
one
riding
stride
well.
there.
You thought,
and then you could see Happy Clapper, and then all of a sudden Winks emerges through the centre there. You know, they had her. But look, let's face it, she's still stuck on for a clear fourth place getter.
How often do you see a Doncaster finish like this where they are strung out like they're coming home in a Melbourne Cup?
No.
There's big gaps.
Tells you how strong the race is.
Yep.
Tells you how good the winner is. It tells you how the handicap brought those lightweights into play that had peaked on the right day, and they're good horses.
Yeah, and they're going well.
That's a good Doncaster. I'm glad we've lowered the limit in this race. And it still helps the good mares that don't have to carry the 62s.
No, I kind of liked it when it was the proper old handicap. I think it's gone to a quality handicap.
It's better. We've lowered the bottom weight. It's 50 kilos the bottom weight. At one stage there we got up to 52 and 53.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the good horses to carry the big weights.
Well, when she won,
harder for her next week if she runs.
Well,
the market doesn't think it's going to be harder.
That was a hard race, but I think it'll be harder for her.
Look, she had a hard run yesterday. She's got to back up. That's
it. That's right. That's right. Chris Waller will make a decision when? Tuesday,
Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Well, they've got to pay up Tuesday.
Zach Purton, Kermadec.
Yeah, he's very disappointing. I had a lovely run in the race, but I don't know. See how it pulls up.
James McDonald, Bow Creek.
I thought he went great. Just the track was a big problem for him.
Tom Berry on First Seal.
Yeah, look, from the half mile, she really struggled in the conditions. More the shiftiness of the track. Now it's a bit chewed up, but she's trying hard. She's just not having things go away.
Glenn Boss, Ascadelia.
Yeah, she ran terrific. Full credit to the winner. She's just a big, powerful girl, and was going every bit as good as it when we come through the rise. And I ducked back to the inside because my mare doesn't mind soft, but that other mare can just sustain that top speed for so much longer than most people. She's a very good horse.
Yeah, Bossy can appreciate it more than most.
Yeah.
When they were chasing home Mackay. Kermadec, poor recovery.
Yeah,
Chris Waller's saying he may restrict his future program to sprint distance.
Look, can't fault at all. It's just a matter of whether she can come back and...
Because my mare doesn't mind soft, but that other mare can just sustain that top speed for so much longer than most people. She's a very good horse.
Yeah, Bossy can appreciate it more than most.
Yeah.
When they were chasing home Mackay. Kermadec, poor recovery.
Yeah,
Chris Waller's saying he may restrict his future program to sprint distance.
Look, can't...